In a world of remakes and remasters,
Are we playing for
what was once sacred and cool has now soured and become lame.
Red?
Gone are the days of Pogs and Cowabunga. Now is the reign of slurp juice and dabs. Kids these days don't even know how bad they've got it. Now it's up to the best generation to rise to the occasion and make a show that dares to go where a lot of other nerdy shows have already gone quite a bit. That's right. They're going to talk about it a lot.
Hello and welcome to the show, everyone. This is Best Gen, where nerds complain about nerdy things, and it's called Best Gen because most of us are roughly más o menos from the same generation, and we happen to think that it's better than yours because our movies were good and your movies are bad. So strap on in. We're gonna talk about it, baby. How's everybody doing tonight?
Pretty good.
I'm doing.
We're joined by the underground, or at least half of the underground, David.
Hi, sorry.
No, it's all good.
I may or may not still be watching the last episode of Avatar, and one of the characters just said, "There is no hope," like right at the end of your little intro, and I was like, well, "That's fitting."
So hang on a second. This means that we have David, Jared, and Alan.
Oh no!
The odd man out now.
This is gonna be a rough night. That's
All
what
right,
that
here,
is.
I'll just fix that real quick.
I was gonna
There you
say, you need to put you in the middle, and then
good.
you have David on the other side. So you David, Jared's underneath. Yeah.
Yeah, we're only going to be talking about the first half of Avatar. We'll talk about the last 4 episodes next week. I mean, I'm not going to be offended. You can mention stuff from the episodes you've seen.
Oh, good.
I'm
Well,
just like
how are we gonna
in-depth
know what's gonna
discussion.
happen?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
wait,
just,
he's gonna-
It's so much easier to talk about these shows if they do them weekly, but I'm kind of grateful that this wasn't weekly because I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah, it's not great. We're gonna talk about it. I know Delicious and Dungeon is still on the thumbnail, but I actually missed this week's episode because I've been sick. My little girl's got the cold again. I had my 1-year-old had the croup, and of course I can't just not take care of him. So I got a couple sneezes directly in my mouth. You can probably see my eyes are bloodshot right now because I've been sleeping all day. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. Let's just get into it. Let's just talk about Avatar, man. Or first, if anyone's new to the underground, you guys want to just give us your spiel, what your channel's about?
Yeah, so we've gone through a few iterations, but at this point, we're pretty much reviewing movies and television, and that's it. Occasionally, I'll talk about video games, especially if the narrative focus is like really good or it's terrible, like Kill the Justice League. It just kind of depends, and we've been inspired by a few different people on YouTube, and it's just one of those things that's trying to get that out there to let people understand that like narrative is actually really important for all of this stuff, and it doesn't have to be. It's funny.
Writing matters?
Oh, I know. Well,
What?
and one of the things I've realized recently too, it's not just about the writing and that you have to be a good actor, but your direction has to be good too, because otherwise you get really flat dialogue where you can't figure out the emotional state of characters.
Yeah. The director's job is to get the best performance out of.
Yeah. Well, it's supposed to be.
It should be. If you're doing it wrong, you're a bad director. Yeah. I used to think about it differently. I thought the directors they still do a lot, but it's more so like the cinematographer that does like the things that I used to think a director does, you know, just like staging the shots. You're like, oh, you know, yeah, some directors do, like, you know, like, man, I always forget. He's literally my favorite director of all time, and I can never remember his name. Shaun of the Dead, the Cornetto trilogy, Baby Driver.
Oh yeah, Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I love him.
Yeah, no,
He's literally my number one director. I can never remember his name.
Did you like what was it, Last Night in Soho?
I did.
Okay,
it wasn't his best movie.
Okay. No,
but
I think it's probably his worst.
like the narrative wasn't as good, but the stuff he did with the camera was fantastic. Like it always is.
Yeah, he's got the problem that a lot of these other guys do, that he probably doesn't need to be the sole writer on his projects.
Yeah.
That it hurts a lot of these, like this whole idea of some of these guys being like auteurs, that they need to direct, they need to write, they need to have crazy control over their projects and not.
He's not a bad writer, but his best ones he didn't write alone. He wrote with Simon Pegg.
Right.
So, but I do love Baby Driver. It's like one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, it's my hometown.
So good.
Nice.
Anyway, yeah, directors. There are some that do, but yeah, most the cinematographers do the camera stuff. Directors, basically, what they're doing is trying to get the best performance out of the actors.
It's always like a collaboration, because like the director is the one that's responsible for everything, but it's how much they want to do it versus they want to hire somebody who's going to take care of it really well. Yeah. So like they'll work in conjunction with the cinematographer, or even the script writers, or even other things to really make that work out. But it's great when they are the writer. That makes it a little bit better. But sometimes. But
it's so funny, because with Avatar, there were just moments where I was like, why didn't you ask them to deliver that again?
It feels like they took the first take every time.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised by the TV show in that the things that I was worried about aren't what I disliked about the show, actually. I was really hesitant going into the show. My number one concern was Zuko. Yeah. I thought he was horribly miscast. He just doesn't look the part. I actually liked him in the show. I think he gives a pretty good performance. And I was like,
that was
once he started talking, I was like, I think he's a good Zuko.
Yeah, I agree. The initial look was not Zuko, but he carries the emotion and the anger and the tantrums. I think he did a pretty good job.
My wife was pointing out she really liked seeing his reaction, because you can see more emotion on his face than you can out of an animated character. Because especially early on, we've just been rewatching the first season. We're only about halfway through the original first season, but like it's just a lot of yelling. I will say the writing on it has made me a little bit questioned, because he's almost a little too good already at this point.
Oh yeah,
they're rushing through his art.
He's way too good. They've already gone into they've already spoiled his uncle's arc, that you find out. Crap! His son is dead, and that's why he's so nice. I'm
curious. I'd have to be reminded of how they actually initially reveal that through the original show, because the thing that we always think about, we always go back to, is the Soldier Boy Come Home, that episode, the Tales from Ba Sing Se. That's not when we first get it revealed that his son died. I don't think. It was too ham-fisted. They were like, hey. There's something going on about him, and see, his son died, and Zuko empathized with him, and that was I think is that really all that they're going to give for why Zuko has already given him more than he could ever like?
I'm not sure because I haven't finished the series, but they gave that line no, Zuko saved my life, and then they show the scene where Zuko just sat next to him and talked, and you're like, was that it? Is that really?
I thought those were kind of sweet moments.
It wasn't a bad moment, but they were implying that that's what saved his life, and you're like, that's weird. That's really weird.
Yeah. It just didn't hit as hard as I wanted it to. Like again, it's
there's a lot of,
but it just
to say it's bad writing is not specific enough. It's more so the dialogue that's bad, because a lot of the writing is just pulling from the TV show, right?
Yeah.
It is.
They are reorganizing it in a bad way. But it's the dialogue. There are so many moments where they say things and you're like, that sounds good on paper. Wait a minute. Why would they say that? In episode 1, Aang says, no one's ever fought for me before. And I was like, what?
Except for his teacher.
Yeah, but at that point,
what is he talking about?
I don't know.
What does he mean? No one has ever fought for me before. They were trying to pull off, I like an immediate kinship for these friends who are defending him. But like, he's been pampered his whole life. What do you mean no one's fought for him? He's been like the prize student. He's got a best friend, Monkiatsu. And when has anyone ever needed to fight for him?
Nobody's fought for him, but nobody's needed to fight for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is that what you're choosing to use as this character moment? It doesn't make any sense. Or I was absolutely right about Azula. I hate her.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, she's not doing a good job.
She's only been in like the one scene so far in the first 4 episodes.
No.
But
just wait.
I've heard things.
Yeah,
but she has a line in there where she says, "So the Avatar has returned." Really? And it cuts to black, and you're like,
yeah.
What does that even? Why is that there? What does that mean? Like, there's so just the dialogue is horrible.
So let me say something real quick about this. So it's not just the dialogue. I think their script. So we're not talking about the original show. Right. You're right. They are pulling from the original show, but it feels like a Spark Notes version of that. And they're taking scenes and events that happen in the original show, and they're going like, well, and it gets bad later on in the season, like really bad with one specific part of the season. I think it's episode like 5 and 6, and they just take a whole bunch of things that happen in the show and they place them in this mismatched order, and you're like, this doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense that these characters would be in this situation and then one of these characters would go out like completely into another arc from the original show and then come back to the thing that they were supposed to be doing.
On that note, where it did, they've done that same thing in episode 3, and I actually thought it kind of worked in episode 3. They combined the two storylines of Jet and the Jet storyline and the wheelchair inventor boy.
That actually kind of
worked well.
His name's
then when
Teo.
they do the tunnels,
Teo, putting those two stories together actually kind of made sense because of the parallels between
and
that wasn't the word. I would prefer to they didn't make all these changes, but that's an example of it actually worked.
Adaptation,
yeah.
But then again, when you then tossed in the secret tunnels, that suddenly got why are we taking care of the secret tunnels?
I love that they did that.
Those badger moles or whatever, it was badger moles, right?
Yeah.
The secret tunnels was.
They're not. They don't look right. They don't have the little mole.
They didn't have the things on the nose, but they looked good. They just didn't have the nose thing.
Yeah, you're right. They were giant badgers. They had no moles to the badger part.
Okay, that's not the part of the episode that I said worked. Okay,
I'm being negative here, Alan. Give me a chance to be negative.
I feel like you're putting words in my mouth, though, and I want to be clear. That part of the episode absolutely did not work. What was the point of doing the secret tunnels? Why are they having these characters go through the same plot points, except that they're not together, because it completely defeats the purpose of that plot point.
Oh, they do that a lot.
Yeah. So
they do that.
So I want to call out.
I feel like the main characters don't even know each other. They've spent no time together.
Known each other for a couple days.
Yeah, it's moved along in a really, really fast clip, which I get.
But what's crazy,
I wish they would have had.
This show has more screen time.
Yeah.
Season 1 is 400 minutes.
Yeah.
It's 20-minute episodes. This is 8 60-minute episodes. That's 480 minutes.
Oof. Yeah. That's really bad.
Yeah, that's true. Like you said, I don't think. I think you can point to some examples where the writing is bad, but I think most of the writing is decent. But I think you're right. It's the way that it's constructed is weird sometimes.
Yeah, the construction's really bad. Well, here's the thing: is like the construction's really bad.
That's really brutal, Mark. I'm sorry.
Hey, it's a great callback, though.
It's good. It's good.
Our three main protagonists have borderline zero arc in this. They completely remove all of the personality traits of the three of them in order to make them better people than they were in the original show. And it's the most frustrating thing on the planet. Aang is
because
so
growth
annoying.
Can't exist.
Oh my gosh, Aang is so annoying in this because he always comes off as being
as Buddha.
Yeah,
it's like, and I have the perfect solution to this.
Yeah, he's always like, oh no, these things. He's not.
And then they have the audacity in episode 4 to like tell him you only care about playing around and messing around and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's not
except
true.
that you haven't shown him do that. One time.
The only time was at the very beginning when he ran away, with the attack, right?
Yeah, and then they removed the episode. They removed the episode where he burns Katara. Like it's not even in there anymore, so you lose.
I forgot. You're right. Yeah. Okay.
It's in that episode's fantastic. Like that whole thing. It's really important for understanding like multiple characters in that first season, and they remove that like all of it, and you're like none of these characters go through much of it.
Can I say something?
I do agree. Sokka is pretty good.
He's all right. Yeah, I like him all right. Yeah. He does all right with
I was worried about Sokka. Go ahead, Beard.
This is one of my hot takes that I know I'm going to catch some flack with this. And again, it's a qualified thing, so listen to the specific words about it. I don't hate the original movie as much as a lot of people do. And I think that Sokka from the original movie, sorry, I used the wrong term on that one, but on the old movie,
sure, he was
Sokka in the movie is actually also one of the better parts of that movie. Yeah. So like their Sokka stuff has always been good.
He's also the best part of the TV show, though, so it's not hard.
That's true. That's yeah.
Well,
and like I said, going into the show, we were worried about Sokka because they specifically said that they were going to make him less racist, right?
Less
sexist.
Oh, do you love that they? Okay. So, misogyny is bad, but misandry, okay. They literally replaced him being sexist with what's her name?
I don't know. It was fine though.
With the girl being sexist to him instead.
Well, and it's
Suki.
They
literally have him. They have her like dress him down while he's naked.
Oh yeah.
Where she didn't. He was already undressed, and he's like clearly uncomfortable with it, and she keeps going, and she's like,
she keeps staring at him, and
Yeah, that one was a little bit over the top. I was like, wait, what?
I did like their
had his shirt off, and I was like,
I did like their chemistry though.
Their chemistry is actually pretty good.
It's good.
Really well. I was all right with that for what we got.
I liked her performance was really good.
Yeah.
I'll also say this as much as I know Jacob Ironside called it out earlier in the stream at the very with the first comment there about instead of him connecting with Roku, he's going to connect with Kyoshi. The idea of them doing that is a little bit like okay, but I actually think they did it pretty well. I actually kind of liked it because it meant that you got to pull like that's a spot where I think the overlaying the stories kind of worked because you got to bring the
I disagree, but
the connection with the past avatars in at the same time as the Kyoshi story.
It was
even
too
though
soon.
It doesn't make sense that he connects to the not.
That's the thing, though. That's the thing, though. Yeah. It's not supposed to happen until later because he's supposed to be lost. They go to. It happens halfway through the season because they're floundering. They're doggy paddling in this ocean in this vast tempest of a storm, and they're treading water, and then they finally get to they finally receive guidance halfway through the season, and then they know what they're supposed to do. It's not even
quite that late, actually, because again, I just rewatched it. It's like
the mid-season finale.
No, it's 4 or 5 episodes in at least. But out of the 20, and there's 10. It's like episode 5 or 6.
It's a 2-part episode.
Did they get to it? Yeah, but they're like because this is the idea of in the original show, it's a kid's show, and so he gets to be like, oh, I want to do this, and I want to do these things that are not being the Avatar and taking care of stuff. But if they want to go a little quicker through this, then they're going to need to narrow it down. And
except that they don't need to go quicker through it.
The original show, in my opinion, is much more mature than what we got in this.
It is. It is. The dialogue, the writing is so much better in the kids show than in the we wanted this to connect with Game of Thrones viewers show.
Overall, I don't know who the show is for.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wanted to call out another comment from Zach earlier that you forgot to fight for what you love and not what you hate. I actually do like that line. They
pulled it straight from The Last Jedi.
I was gonna say it's what they wanted it to be in The Last Jedi, and then but this one was actually good. I actually liked it. See, yeah. and Ironside, I agree that Roku is supposed to be a major part of the plot, and I think that he should be, and it's kind of dumb that they decided to take him out. But
they switched it
there. Don't worry, he's
there. Instead of going directly to the one previous to him, he's going to the one previous to that. Okay,
it's pretty obvious why they switched it, though.
Yes, and I'm not denying that, and I don't love it, but it's fine. I'm still okay with it, and the only other reason that I'm more okay with it is because it actually lends well to how they overlaid those stories. That's my point with that. It's like I don't hate it, even though I kind of roll my eyes at what I realize is the real reason they did it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and there's more obvious stuff. Like there's a couple. There's a. The famous moment from Avengers Endgame where all of the female characters get together and everyone was like, "Why are we doing this?" That's in the last episode, and it's really bad. Like, can I just tell you what happens? Is it okay if I just this one thing, and we won't go to anything else in it? The whole arc where Katara is learning to waterbend, like it's her whole thing. She goes to.
Is it with the finale with the Northern Water Tribe?
Yes, the guy that ends up
Southern Water Tribe.
No, it's the Northern one.
Northern? Okay.
So he, instead of the whole arc with her,
I'm not going to train women. Women are supposed to be healers.
It's there, but the difference is that they change it from wanting training to her being able to fight in the final battle. And then
they don't let women fight.
They don't let women fight, and so you're like, oh, okay, whatever. And they have this whole thing with that, and you're like, all right. Well, at the end, he's taught.
Do they instead of with the thing? Do they do it with one of the koi fishes? They're like, how am I going to get this fish across the battlefield alone? And then all the girls come up and say, you're not alone.
Yeah. So no, but it's instead it's like she comes up and says, let me fight, and she says some sort of line about like. It's similar to that where it's like they all want to help, and then it pans over and it's like all the women of the tribe just standing there looking at him, and you're like, wait, but they already don't want to fight. They've never been trained to fight. Like, what are they going to do? And he looks at him and he just goes, there's some people over there. Like, go help them put the wall back together and heal him or something. Just get out of my way. And then they go on to the next scene. But it's a lot of that. And she, Katara, specifically says that she is her own master, like because she quote unquote taught herself how to waterbend the way that she does. And I was just like, this is terrible. It's like, what are you doing? Like, it takes away any growth for her character. That the whole time it's like, oh, it's kind of a Rey moment. She literally does this thing where it's like, oh, I'm just that good. I don't need anyone to teach me because I'm that good.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad. Like, even
they are. I can see them leading that direction with the way that they've handled her with it. I mean, even in the original show, though, she was pretty like independent-y about it. Like when they got the water scroll, she was just very like, I want to do it. I want to figure it out.
Well, which is fine. Yeah. She has no. They take out that episode where she steals the water scroll. Like, anything that she does that's supposed to help her.
I think that was a good. That makes sense that they took it out, even though I liked it from the show. Like. That one makes sense to have taken. I liked how they did that one, how they handled that.
They need to do something to give her flaws, which is the problem with her. It's the problem with Aang.
It's a problem with modern writing in general.
Yeah, there's a lot of the characters in it. You're just like, why are they all so like good? Perfect. Yeah. They're all buttoned up. Like, everything's fine with all of them.
They have to have them solve their own problems. Even in episode 1, when Aang goes into the Avatar state to enraged when he finds out all of his friends are dead. It's not Katara that talks him down; it's himself.
It's himself. Yeah, they're just there, and the closest they hint to it is you hear he can maybe hear their voices, or you see a shot of him and you can hear their voices calling to it. But it was much better done in the show. Yeah, in the animated. Yeah,
or. I mean, the secret tunnels, they do the same thing. Like they.
All right, so let me say one positive thing that was going on with that. I actually did like the dynamic between Sokka and Katara in that bit, and they didn't go too far to that Sokka's actually wrong, because actually Sokka's kind of more right than wrong, but neither of them is willing to see each other. Like, I liked their dynamic. I liked that the way that they fought like siblings. Honestly, it felt to me.
Sure,
like, they're not taking me seriously. Well, but she's also not taking him seriously.
Yeah,
but they don't quite go that far, but they also don't go the other way to be like, well, yeah, because you were wrong. Like, they don't make Sokka into more of an idiot than he needs to be in that, especially in that scenario. He's not the idiot. He actually is right. She's just not taking him seriously, and sure, he's not taking her seriously either. But I don't know. I kind of like that.
Well,
but the solution to the problem was like
the solution was, yeah.
The solution was incest, apparently.
I mean, that's not what they were hinting at, but yeah,
family love.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. I kind of was thinking the same thing too, where they were like, it was a little uncomfortable. Yeah, love is the answer. I was like, wait, and I was like, oh, I guess sibling love is fine.
David, maybe you need to be careful next time that Alan comes over, because apparently that's where his brain goes to.
Yeah, apparently.
Because that's what the answer was in the original show. Like both answers were right. Aang and Katara found their way out because of the glowy rocks, and Sokka used his brain to tame some badger moles, and they both made it through.
Yeah.
like
I said, there was some of it that I liked. I mean, it's ridiculous that the Badgers can smell them, but at the same time, if I remember correctly,
they can smell
love.
It was still the thing that kind of drove them in the cartoon, wasn't it? That when you were upset and mad, they were threatening, but when you weren't, they were calm. Right?
Yeah,
that was consistent. I mean, it's
like animals do that. Yeah. I mean, I don't think animals smell love. That's
right. Again, it's presented really dumb, but it's I don't know.
Yeah, I also like kind of the opposite of they can smell fear, right?
Right.
I guess.
I just couldn't get past the fact that they didn't have their mole noses, and I'm like, come on, this is a CGI creature, and you have a template of a visual thing. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be a badger mole. You just have a blind badger here. Why? Why?
But also, I can't get over the fact that Aang wasn't with them. Like, they're having all of these moments separate from each other, and we know it's just going to happen again because the Blue Spirit arc. Like, I feel like the main characters don't know each other at all. They're together for one episode, and they're going to be together at the end, and they're not going to have the chemistry that they need.
Yeah, they don't. They really. I feel like I'd have to go back and watch some of it again, but it doesn't feel like the main cast has chemistry. Now, some of that is the acting. I think it falls flat more often than not. There are moments where you're like, oh, okay, the inflection was right there. And
you know what came off really weird was the Katara and Jet. They're flirting, and then he introduces her as his wife.
Yeah,
and you're like, I mean, she's like 14 though. Like,
yeah, but even back in medieval times,
it was weird. It was still a little weird,
and it was the sort of thing where, like, they're trying to get in, and that was like I thought it was good improvising on the character's part to be like, my wife here, like, and talking too much to get them to be like, get out.
My favorite part about that scene though is he gives explanations for all of the characters. Oh, this is my wife. She does this. Oh, this is Sokka. He doesn't talk. And then they forget that Aang is in the cart until the cart starts driving away, and Aang's just sitting there, and you're like,
he's kind of sitting there covered up.
Well, what about him?
He's kind of the main one you need to come up with an excuse for, right?
He's got a big tattoo on his face.
Except that he's. So I agree with you that it did kind of make us forget about him for a second, but I do think that it wasn't that the guard needed an explanation for each individual person there.
Right.
That he was just trying to talk too much. That the guard just said, "I don't care." All he cared about was do you have turnips? Do you not have? What are
Sure.
you doing in the city?
Right.
And that's fine. And so he didn't need to explain him, and he did have the hood covering his tattoo, so he was just another person. But it was kind of funny that like we'll explain everyone except for this one guy.
Yeah.
So I think the thing that I noticed is that what I had issue. So I really liked it from the 4 episodes I saw. I enjoyed watching it. And yeah, like the story is a little different, but they do have some big parts of the story that are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the issue is that the cartoon had like there's this mix between like a very fun, jokey kind of fun aspect to it, but then in some very important moments, there's a more serious dynamic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But the problem is I think they're still trying to get that balance, at least in this first episode, where it's like, okay, we want to be quirky, we want to be fun, but there is also a serious side to the story that needs to be related. The other thing that I was gonna say is that what was it?
Like you have terrorist bombings going on, and then we're cracking jokes about lettuce leaves,
Oh, yeah. Wait, right. Well, that's the thing. Like, I wanted to see the cabbage guy, right? So that's the thing. They're like hitting some of these things where they're like, okay, they got the cabbage guy, they got they got all these fun things, they got Boomy, going down the mail service or whatever, right? So they're hitting some of these things where I'm like, nice, I wanted to see this. But the other thing I was also thinking about is, I think, if I'm honest, the part or the difficulty with this show right now is that it's its first season and nobody knows what to expect, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody knows what this is going to be like. So even the directors, even the writers, the cinematographers, they don't know if it's going to be good, if people are going to like it, if they're not going to like it. So they don't really know what to expect. They don't know if they're going to get a second season. Right. And so I think I think they may have been like, okay, we got to take this part and jam it into this first season just in case maybe we don't get a second season. Right. So they may be kind of like trying to like mix some of this stuff and be like, okay, we want to do this.
I think that's at
this point.
Terrible excuse.
I
just don't.
Even I can't quite get behind that, because you when you're creating something new, you're always going to have that not knowing how the audience is seeing it, not knowing whether or not you'll get a second season or not. Even when they made the original, not the original again. I don't know why I keep saying the original, but
that's why you want to make season 1.
They wanted to do a trilogy. They were hoping to do a trilogy, but they realized they could only limit themselves to this story.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't think Netflix had to do that. They could have taken their time with this.
Yeah,
they could have. I mean, because if you think about it, right? Like if they just want 3 seasons.
This has been in production for a long time.
Yeah, why would you not want to find a way? Like Avatar is incredibly popular, and I mean, I guess unless they're planning on going into Korra at some point.
Well, they've already added stuff.
They talked about it. Oh yeah, that's true. What was it exactly? Because I've only seen the first season of Korra.
I've never seen Korra.
I don't know. I've heard people say they put in stuff from Korra later in the series.
The only thing I will say, the first season of Korra is my favorite season of Korra.
Season 1's good.
I liked the first season. I just never got around to watching the rest.
Yeah.
Of it.
Season 2 is
and
garbage.
It's so unconnected. The rest of the seasons are so unconnected from it. Like they're just whereas Avatar, it progresses season to season.
The biggest problem was there was no overarching plot. It was 4 different seasons. Like season 1 was good, season 2 was garbage, season 3 was pretty good, and season 4 was just bland.
This is where actually Jared almost has a point, because you look at Korra. You look at Korra, and that's one of the problems with Korra, is that they didn't know season to season whether there was going to be another season. But again, with this one, because you're adapting a story, you know that you have this whole story, so and it's always problematic. And again, that was what caused a problem for Korra, is that they couldn't treat it like they were able to keep going on. They didn't know how to balance the will we go on or not.
I'm sympathetic to the fact. Look, yes, I know that it has more screen time, right? It has 80 extra minutes to tell the story in live action. But you still do need to rearrange stuff. I'm not oblivious to that fact, right? These were 20-minute episodes, and most of season 1 was pretty episodic. There was the overarching theme, but there are a whole lot of side adventures, and when you're condensing that into a live action show of 60-minute episodes, yes, you're going to have to cut out some of that. You're going to have to squish a couple episodes together. So
well,
like
to that point too, though, I think the issue too is that they were trying to bring in Princess Azula, right? And bringing that in also has to push stuff out, right?
So
it's like
not just that, but all of the flashbacks that they do. To be honest, I hated most of it because it ruins the arc for these characters, especially.
Let's talk about that.
Let's
talk about episode 1, the choice to start with the destruction of the air temple.
That was the one that I did like that. I liked that backstory.
I'm okay with that. I'm down for that.
Okay, so here's the biggest problem with it. It needed to be later in the season because you ruin following Aang through that emotional arc of him understanding that by being like, we're just going to show you everybody getting torched, and you don't get the reveal of what happened to them. And they turn his friend. I'm sure what's a good word for this?
Yato?
Yeah, they ruin that too, because when Aang finds him, like all the bodies of the fire.
So that's what I'll say is I don't think they ruined it, but they definitely they undercut it because in the original show you get to see all these firebenders that he took out and just hit.
Oh, and then he goes, no, not the children, and he gets burned alive.
Kids, that sort of thing.
So what it is it's a trade-off. In the original show, you get a wonderful character growth moment. Okay, you start off with Aang, and he's chipper and happy, and then in episode 3, you're dealt this massive blow of holy crap, everyone I know is dead, and it's a great character moment. And by changing it in the TV show, it sacrifices the character moment for a plot twist. So that it does gain something. It gains the plot twist of holy crap, it's been 100 years. Right. If you start with the destruction and you show it, and then you show Aang later, you're like, you gain the twist of it's been 100. You've been frozen for a long time. But you lose the character moment.
Well, and they ruin it too, because doesn't Katara's grandmother basically be like, "Oh, you're the last one"?
Yeah.
He wakes up and she's like, "Sorry, you're the last one," and it's
that's kind of my thing, is because I agree. I actually think that it was, again, if you're looking at trying to speed things up or change the pacing or do things differently, which again maybe you don't need to do it, but I understand why you would want to, or why it could be a thing that you feel is necessary as you're approaching the show. But I think that starting him out with him while he's in the Southern Water Tribe, finding out that it's been 100 years, and having that like, hey, this is I've lost everyone that I know. Having that reveal happen there in that first episode could be good, but they didn't quite get it. They didn't do enough to earn that. I don't know if it was just a matter of time. I think you could have given it a good moment, but it kind of just was like.
I think what it was, Jared, is that. And because what I'm kind of hearing is that having it later was nice because
you lose the whimsy.
The what?
It's what you were saying before. You kind of lose the whimsy to it, right?
I don't think
exactly.
You're missing the soul behind it.
Like Aang isn't all this like jovial kid anymore. He's got this more of like like I'm the only one left, and all of my friends and everybody's died. Like so, right off the bat, that's his character. Instead of saying, "Oh, this is Aang," he's an airbender.
The cartoon starts with Katara and Sokka finding him in ice.
How it should have been.
The other actually the one thing that I
and then you only find out until episode 3 what the backstory that
so that was the problem though, is that they moved to it too quickly, so you didn't really get all this jovialness with Aang to say, hey, like. I mean, you see a little bit of that where he's like kind of playing tag with the kids and stuff, but like that's all you really get. You don't really see him, interacting, being jovial with his companions, because right off the bat they go right to the air temple, and he's
you can tell what they were trying to do. They're trying to appeal to the Game of Thrones audience. They wanted to start off with a really big moment with White Walkers decapitating people in the middle, and so you're like hooked into this. Wow, that was really good. And then you slowly get into you're hooked into the show, and then you follow the characters. But what they should have done is they should have kept it the same and done they should have done the Invincible thing where it starts off slow, you get to know the characters, and then at the end of the episode, you're like, holy crap, I'm hooked. And they literally could have done the same thing, but just fixed it in the edit and started it like the show starts. Introduce Aang, show him he's this nice, fun, loving thing, and then have the episode end with murdering all of his friends.
So I'm going to push back on a couple little pieces of that, because first of all, in the cartoon, in the animated show, what it actually does before you even get to Sokka and Katara fishing and finding Aang, you actually get the intro: air, fire, water.
Do they do it? Do they do it in episode 1?
They do.
Yeah, they do that.
So you actually already know all of that stuff. So you're prepped for it to a certain degree. So I actually feel like I don't hate that. But what I do agree with you is that you can start with that, but you need to lean a little bit harder in that first episode when Aang comes out of the ice to him, being in denial of it, being told, we haven't seen avatars in 100 years. What's going on here? You are what? And he's like, no, it'll be fine. They'll be fine. Just like in
but wouldn't it be more impactful though? Isn't it more impactful though? Isn't it more impactful to meet Aang and have him and be like, and have the Katara and her family be like, wow, we've never seen an airbender before, and he's like, well, yeah, it's because you're in the Southern Water Tribe, like. Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course you haven't seen an airbender. I'm going to go take you to see my friends, and then you show up, and then, crap, you're right. It's
but again, even in the show, that's not exactly how it goes, because he doesn't say no. It's because you're down here. They're like, no, I didn't think there were any airbenders left. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's just. He doesn't get it. It's not that he's like. Oh,
but like no, but I'm saying like if you want to like throw if you want to screw with the audience, right? Because I assume they're trying to make this show. To appeal to people who've never seen the animated series.
I mean, they want to appeal to people that can't read. I mean, I don't know. Sorry, I don't know if it was one of those things. Well, because there's so much exposition at the beginning of this. They treat their audience like idiots.
That's what my wife. That's what my wife said. She hasn't watched the TV show. She watched like the first 10 minutes of the first episode, and she was like, "This is a kid show. I don't want to watch it." I'm like, yes, it is, but it gets better. Like, you know.
Well, see that was kind of before too.
She said after the first episode, she was like, why does this show think I'm an idiot?
It does. Because that intro at the beginning of the we're talking about the live action. The intro at the beginning spells out everything you need to know. It gives you all of these points to catch you up. So if you've never watched it before, instead of doing what the original show did, that didn't need to do all of that, and you just got engrossed into the world as you were learning through the eyes of
Sokka, Katara, and intro. It has the air, fire, water. 100 years ago, that's
all you need, and then it.
Well, that's most of what they talked about there too.
They go into more. I'd have to go back and watch
Avatar Rebirth, but
they go into a lot.
They go into a lot, and I'm sitting there going, I just was like, oh no, here we go again. And then it's like they have to explain everything to Aang. You get
they explain everything like 10 times.
Aang literally gives you all of his motivations in one speech.
The first thing he says is, "I'm scared of this. I'm scared of responsibilities. I don't want to do this. And here is my character motivation, guys."
And then all of that goes out the window because all of a sudden he's just pious and he wants to save everyone, and instead of being a 12-year-old child.
Yeah, you're right.
All of the characters do. It's not just Aang though. They all straight up just tell you, "This is my character motivation."
I hate that. That is one of my biggest pet peeves. I'm so tired of shows just being like, "You are evil," and you're like,
Go back and watch just like 10 minutes of House of the Dragon and realize that most of the stuff is non-verbal communication. Like it very rarely tells you what's going on in the show, because you don't need to be told, because if you pay attention, like literally the scene like halfway through House of the Dragon at the funeral, there's no dialogue. It's just characters looking at each other, and so much is happening.
You understand each one of the characters there, and so things don't have to be said. You get to read into it. And
I need to rewatch House of the Dragon now.
But except episode 9, you can skip episode 9.
Yeah.
I don't know which one was episode 9.
It's the episode where they do
character.
Yeah, the character assassination on Rhaenys, right?
Yeah.
It's really bad. Just completely ruin her character. It doesn't make any sense for the rest of the series. Yeah. So,
but like,
anyway.
yeah, you can. It just shows it, and the difference is writing. It's the they don't trust their audience. They think their audience is stupid, and also the writers are probably stupid, and so so they just don't know how to do this well.
I don't get it. I don't know why we have to be in this era of just explaining everything, because this has done this. Freaking Rebel Moon did this recently. I know there was something else I saw. Oh, well, actually, I can't. Madam Web, honestly, I can't remember. But I'm sure it was in. I'm sure it was in there too.
It was.
I've already put that out of my. It's already out of my memory. That was last week.
Oh, that movie was so fun.
A whole week ago.
That talk about a blast. The three of us watched it together. Man, that was fun.
That was fun.
That's the way to do it. That's I made a friend of mine watch it with me. That's the way to do it.
In all honesty, though, it wasn't interesting enough of a movie to react to like there wasn't enough to react to. There's movies that it's fun to watch because they're so bad and you're just like, oh wow, what is going?
Yeah, it has moments.
Yeah. There were parts that was just exposition central, and you're like, okay, come on, get back to the stupid stuff so I can laugh. Yeah.
I don't know, man. And the thing is that exposition can be good. I was thinking about this earlier today, but I miss good actors being able to sit in like a diner and convince you that you're watching this real conversation with these people and that you're so engrossed in that. Like a lot of what Quentin Tarantino has done over the years.
Yeah,
like,
or like Breaking Bad.
That.
Most of it is it's just people talking.
Game of Thrones was the same thing early on.
It's just people talking to each other, but it's the subtext. It's reading between the lines where you're like, wow, this is really good.
Yeah. That's true. Another criticism that I had is with the costuming. I think that the costume design is pretty good. They're cool looking costumes. The implementation of those costumes, not so much.
They all look brand new.
Yeah, they look brand new. They're not worn at all. They're
even the dirty ones look like they've been like this characters who are like beggars, and you're like, you painted it so it looks dirty, but it's still like pressed and pleated, you know.
Yeah.
The Southern Water Tribe is supposed to be pretty.
The Water Tribe is the worst. Yeah. They're cool designs, but they're just really bad.
The Southern Water Tribe I didn't mind as much because again, they're not supposed to necessarily be beggars or anything like that. But once you get to Omashu a little bit more, I'm like, Again, it's not the worst stuff with the costuming that I've seen, but it was.
Like I said, the design is generally not terrible. It's just they did.
Yeah, it's not well worn. It's weird. So
stretch them a little bit,
This show has the same problem that Wheel of Time, Rings of Power. I mean, like pick your modern like fantasies or whatever setting with that. Everything's too clean. Yeah. Everything's filmed on the exact same type of cameras. The grading in this is really bad in certain moments, but it's like
there are moments in the show where you're like it looks green screen, but you know that it was filmed on a volume, and you're like, how is this so bad? You literally have the technology to make this not look like this,
or better yet,
but you don't know how to use it.
You could just make sets, because I imagine this show cost them quite a bit of money. It
looks
expensive.
It is.
It looks expensive in the sense it's like, wow, there's a lot of unnecessary CG in this.
Yep.
Like, why is everyone on a background? Like, whenever he's doing the Avatar state stuff,
Yeah.
Or talking to
a lot of that CG is going to be cheaper and faster for them to turn around, especially off the volume, than building a set.
Well, that brings the next criticism, and it's not just this show; it's a lot of them. And Joseph and I talk about this on our podcast all the time, where it's like everything's just about churning out content now. Just one of the reasons that I think you get a lot of these exposition dumps, or like they just won't take the time to show you things. It's a television show. I get it. Like, your budget's different. There's things that you're gonna corners that you're gonna have to cut. 120
million is what they're reporting.
But the thing is like, if
pretty
your
good
budget,
for a TV show.
Yeah, if your budget is low though, or like it's supposed to make you more creative, not make your show worse.
Right.
Like, you're supposed to be able to figure out how to make certain things work.
How much did House of the Dragon cost?
I don't remember.
It's not that much. I'm gonna look it up.
Godzilla minus
It was a
one.
pretty penny, but it wasn't.
Godzilla minus one. Yeah, it was like was 30 million.
Well, the director
20
did
million?
a lot of the CGI himself.
15. I had heard 15.
You could argue. I've heard 15. You could argue that it's going to be a little different over in Japan than here, but comparatively, that's still going to translate to like
30 million still,
100
right?
million,
Yeah.
You know, like it's Well,
It's-
then you,
yeah, it's
and I know we
ridiculous.
didn't. I know a lot of us didn't necessarily love the movie itself, but the creator was another one that I felt like it looked really good
Oh, it
for
was
what
cool,
it was
yeah.
like 80 million or whatever.
Yeah,
it looked a lot more realistic.
I assume you
Visually
watched
very good.
the
The story's terrible.
Corridor Digital. They just had the director of that on their show, right? Their
For
CGI
Godzilla
artist.
-1?
Huh?
For
No,
Godzilla
no,
minus
for
one?
the
Creator.
creator.
Oh,
the
I
creator,
didn't.
yeah.
I didn't watch that one. I watched
Yeah.
the Godzilla one. That one was fast.
It was a good episode. I actually really liked what the director had to say about how they filmed the movie and how they did it cheaply. But I'm upset at Corridor because they didn't bring up the Beirut explosion. And
Yeah,
they are the ones that broke that
Oh,
news.
Yeah,
They
kinda
are the
broke
ones that
down
said,
that
"Hey,
stuff.
they're using real footage from this horrible explosion in their movie."
Oh shoot.
And then they had the direct, like they broke the news on one of their previous VFX artists react, and then they had the director of the movie come on, and they didn't even address it. Like
Yeah.
I
I'm
really,
betting that was-
I
that was
really
the
like.
agreement
I really
among
like what
those
their channel
who
does,
talk about it.
but more and more frequently and more recently, you can tell that they're becoming. I don't want to say that they're shills yet, but you can tell that they're holding their punches so that they won't lose access.
Yeah, that's how it
Exactly.
is. There's a guy that pops up.
They still sorry you're
good.
but they still say VFX react to good and bad CGI. They never talk about bad CGI anymore.
Well, that's the problem is that people don't want to lose access. Like there are certain
Right.
people that I specifically follow because when they talk about like, oh, the show's really good, and they're like, oh, I got to go to the screening and I was with all these people and I got this like a bag and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, the show must not. It immediately it's like I don't know.
They did the same thing for Rings of Power.
Yeah, that
they
was
had
good.
they
That
had
was
an entire
most
episode
egregious
dedicated to
one.
how good the CGI was, and they specifically mentioned they cherry picked one scene where they
forced
pulled off
perspective
forced
was good.
perspective and they did it well, and completely ignored the rest of the show where their forced perspective is awful.
Even the same scene, the next shot later.
The next shot is just
completely
garbage.
Awful, and they only picked the one shot that looks good. It's like, come on, guys. Yeah, that.
I still watch them because they do some really good stuff, but that infuriated me.
Yeah. But while we're talking about CGI,
what were we talking about? CGI, right?
I thought the CGI for all the bending looked freaking phenomenal, especially the earth bending.
Really good
compared to the movie.
Earth
where you
bending
have,
looks
like,
good.
12 guys pushing that one rock.
I disagree.
I'm still going to push back on you on that, David. That's not what's happening in that scene.
That's exactly what's happening.
I'll push back on you in that I don't think
need to
that
rewatch
the fire bending in the opening scene looked good at all. I thought it looked very cheesy.
You know, did you guys like the part where the guy that was running away from the firebenders and he's like, "Go on without me"? He puts the wall up in front of the other guy and not himself, and you're like, "Dude, if you can do that,
yeah."
What are you doing?"
Well, he earthbends to move the scroll, but he could have done the same thing for himself. You know, like he could have earthbended himself like a little skateboard. You know,
which he does later, right?
Yeah,
he does that to launch himself at the other guys. Yeah.
My favorite part though is when the show goes, "Wait a second, you wanted me to know that your plans were to attack the Earth Kingdom?" And then the Fire Lord says, "Yes, it was a ruse. I wanted you to know it." And you're like, "Yeah, but that's the definition of a ruse." like, yeah, we got it. They just repeat the same thing like 4 times. Like,
another line.
Sorry, I thought you were going to say because the information was that he was going to attack the Earth Kingdom, but it was the fake out to attack the Air Nation.
Yeah,
but they did just repeat.
No, he's like, wait, you are you saying you tricked me into doing this because you thought I was going to do that? Yes, it was a trick. Like, yeah, that's what he just said.
We get it.
Like,
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're right.
There's some more of that later on the season. There's one that happens in one of the later episodes, and it's it's slipping my mind, but someone does something, and then another character says, "You're doing this," and it's like, yeah, he literally, that's exactly what's happening. Why are you?
I'm sorry about that, Mark Clark. But if he says something stupid on Twitter, I got to talk about it.
Do you want to talk about Boomy?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. See, and that was coming off of episode 3, and that was it was like I liked, aside from the secret tunnel, I liked episode 3. I was like, okay, like I understand mashing those 2 episodes together. It makes sense.
The only criticism I had with episode 3 was that shouldn't those rock sleds?
Don't they require bending to move up?
They require people bending. It's like, why are they going by themselves?
I don't know. I don't know, David. They slide down. They slide down by themselves, but they need to be pushed up with a bender. Yeah.
They only got.
I don't know. They don't really explain that in the show.
To me, they didn't.
No, they do.
I mean, they did not do it right. They just glossed over it and didn't tell us that that's what.
Jared, they do it. They show.
It's the spark notes of it. Someone told them like, oh yeah, they have these carts that slide up and down, and they go, oh okay. And then they don't want the explanation.
Jared, in the TV show, they literally show you earthbenders pushing them up the hills and sliding them down. Yeah.
In the animated one. Yeah, in the animated, yep.
Sorry, in the animated TV show. I gotta specify now. Yeah, let's talk about Boomy. Okay, but yeah, the secret tunnel. Okay, we'll talk about let's talk about Boomy. A complete misunderstanding of the character and why the character is in the show and why it's important to Aang that the character is in the show and why the story exists at all. It's literally the opposite of what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Because he has to be the bitter old man, and Aang can't be the one to learn the lesson.
But like the point of that story is it's a twist that like, oh wait, this is I know him, he's Boomy, and then the episode starts off with, hey, you're Boomy. Like that was the crux of the episode. The final challenge was, what is my name?
Boomy is like, he's learned lessons over this 100 years, and he's passing that on to a friend, and he's trying to do it in a very specific way. And the show's like, nah, we're not going to do that.
I seem to have misplaced my lunchbox key.
And it's just
so good.
It's the best. It's literally the fan favorite episode. There's it's so good. What's his pet's name? Bubsy? Is it? What's his?
The big.
His pet.
Yeah.
Is it a bear?
It's like Bugsy.
Rabbit. Right?
I need you to save my pet Bugsy.
Yeah.
Because
the bear comes in later with the other Earth Queen lady or whatever.
That's right.
Another Earth King. I don't know, whatever.
Also, it kind of ruins the twist in season 3 that King Boomy is ripped.
No, that's in
this
original bit.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah.
Because one of the final challenges is
got it.
Find one of my 2 champions, and
it's Flopsy.
Just point to whoever you.
His pet's name is Flopsy.
Yeah.
Go save my pet Flopsy.
Voice, and then he goes, and he gets jacked, and it's so good, and the show just doesn't really pull it off.
And his reveal of being doctor whatever was not as good as it could have been. You see he's kind of walking around all timid, but he goes from this to this, as opposed to in the cartoon he goes from this to the
there's a lot more
change,
effort
but
put
it was
into it.
not enough of a change.
Okay, so I was wrong about that, which that's a first, but
that's okay. You also like The Last Jedi.
Katie has an interesting point too here that Aang being able to fly without his
my gosh.
He's Peter Pan.
Yeah, that was weird.
I was like, why am I watching
a little bit? But
why does he even have a glider though? If he could just fly,
yeah.
I mean, they almost make it so that it doesn't look like he's completely flying. He's just very, very falling with style the entire time. But it's so close to just straight up flying. So much more so.
Well, no, he does straight up fly in the first episode when he calls the water buffalo or sky bison.
Yeah, it's flying.
That's again him mostly falling.
No, he's on the floor and he twirls up in the air to call his sky bison.
They can fly now.
Good. It's way more than it should be, but they fly now.
They fly now?
It's
It is. It like Dave like the underground David said. Okay, this is oh gosh.
See, I told you it was going to be an issue.
I have to specify the animated TV show and their live action TV show. Now that do you know how many syllables that is?
Bearded up here,
like David was saying, it feels like these writers just read the cliff notes of this. Like they haven't even watched the show, and they're like, oh, okay, this happens in the show, that we'll put it in, but they don't even like care about the world building. It's I know like, it's a small detail to complain about. Aang can fly versus Aang can bend wind around his glider. I get that that's a nitpick, but
it's not.
It shows you that they don't care.
Well, that's the thing, is that like it breaks things later on, because if he's able to fly, then it's like, okay, well, why didn't he do that here? And this is the problem, because you could say that it's like it starts out as a small thing, like, oh, it's no big deal that we characterized him like this right at the beginning, but then if you don't ever do those things again, or you have no explanation why he can't do it later, it's a situation of like, well, he could have gotten out of that situation if he had just done what he did in the first episode. Like, why isn't he doing that anymore?
Yeah, even in the end of the first episode when he's rescued from the ship, or is that the second episode?
It's the first one. First episode. Still.
Yeah, I mean, he's got his glider, he's flying away, and then he gets hit by the fireball, and he's falling. And he can't fly again until he catches the glider.
Yeah, just fly.
Right? Katie's comment here, to paraphrase Han, that's not how airbending works.
That's good.
Yeah, and I don't know. Is it Commander Zhao? They ruined his character.
He's like nice now.
Well, the weird thing about him is they turned him into more of like a sly, smart character.
Yeah,
and he's not supposed to be that.
He's supposed to be arrogant and stupid and dangerous.
He's this big, arrogant, dumb guy.
I'm only through the first 4 episodes, but him working with Zuko, I mean, he's kind of undermining him a little bit and trying to work around him, but it's like him agreeing.
He's like a snake in the grass, and that's just not who he's supposed to be.
Did you hear the actor auditioned accidentally? He thought he was auditioning for James Cameron's Avatar.
Yeah, I saw that.
Wow.
He didn't know what the TV show was.
And I think, for me, like his stature is a bit of an issue, because Commander Zhao's supposed to be this like,
and he's short. He's shorter than
It's not.
He's shorter than Uncle Iroh.
Yeah, and that's a problem, because he's not intimidating.
He's not imposing.
In those moments.
Yeah.
He needs to be a big brute, and he's
the guy who burns down his own ships because he's so angry and he's not paying attention.
Yep.
And he doesn't.
Yeah.
You mentioned Iroh. And I like the actor who they have playing Iroh.
I do.
He's trying.
He's trying. I think he's a good actor. And I think
it feels off. It feels wrong.
It's exactly the problem that you guys are talking about already with Zuko, and even a little bit more with Aang. The only one that it bothered me with so far has been Zuko and Iroh, because
I think
he's mysterious. He's trying to be mysterious about his being good, but not. And I can understand there's a certain degree
they're trying to make his character more edgy too.
Yeah, because he's standing by his, like, he was besieging Ba Sing Se, as opposed to being like regretting it, but he doesn't. I don't know. It's a weird thing.
That's great. That's what it is. They turn him into a little figure.
Yeah. He's trying to play some sort of Game of Thrones rather than being who he's supposed to be.
Let's talk about what works. I think Aang is fine. Like the actor wise, right?
Yeah.
They need to make him more flawed. I think Sokka is doing great. I
don't think Katara is.
I think Katara is doing an awful job.
And to be fair to her,
to
be fair to her, I think the direction is to blame for that. And none of with all the characters, like, none of the jokes land for me. Like, the timing is all off on all of them. Aang, that one joke where with the Sky Bison thing at the very beginning, where he keeps repeating himself, and he's like, "Didn't you hear me the first time?" You're like, "Oh, it's not funny."
I think I'm gonna make the meme, but it's literally the joke from Arrested Development, like when now I'm forgetting his name.
Joe?
No. In the show,
Michael...
the Two Swords guy in Avatar. Jet, when Jet says, like, "Oh, you're so pretty, you'd look good in any dress." It's her? I'm definitely.
I
gonna
actually
make
kind
that
of bought
move.
that. Like, I actually thought that, like, again, so I think she actually does a pretty good job having chemistry with Jet and chemistry with Sokka, like the sibling thing.
With
I
Sokka, for
like
sure.
how that's worked most of the time, even though the rest of how it's been fitting hasn't quite clicked in there for me. I agree with you there. The other thing I'll say too, I actually even don't mind. I think that they could pull off the way that they're telling Aang's story with having a lot less of him being the kiddie thing, if they wrote it just a little bit better. I think you could do what they're doing if they did it, if they wrote it better, you know.
But he's like, he has no. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because where is he getting any of that? Like, your only explanation at that point is like, oh well, he has like 1,000 other avatars inside of him, so like that's why the way that he acts that he does. But like otherwise,
it's
he was
not
always
working.
a 12-year-old.
It's not working.
Yeah, he's a kid. Like they're all kids. The reason part of the
he's
reason
supposed
the
to
show
he's
works,
supposed to become that eventually. He's supposed to grow into it.
Yeah, he all of these characters are supposed to grow into the places that a lot of them are not
Right
even
now.
halfway through the season.
I guess maybe what I'm getting at is that I think that they could do it with a more subtle story arc than they did in the animated show. But
Sure.
And they're trying to do that. They're just not doing it well. They're just not actually able to do it subtly.
Yeah.
They're trying for something that would require a little bit more subtlety.
Yeah, they could easily turn his entire thing into the pressure of I have to basically save everyone, and I don't know how, and I don't know how to do it. And then you have I guess it becomes more of a thing later in the season, but they try to do this whole thing where all of the other avatars are basically telling him he has to do it alone, which I think kind of goes against what the show originally was kind of getting at. But if you're gonna do that, you need to focus on that, and Aang needs to make mistakes. And based off of that, and he just doesn't
people
do
need
it.
to learn from their mistakes.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Get that crap out of here.
People have to have mistakes in the first place.
Because that's the biggest thing is like, if you're gonna go down this road of like, okay, well, all of the avatars are basically telling me I need to do everything on my own, then everything, the way that he reacts to everyone around him for the season needs to be based off of his understanding that that's the case. And you need to have like him burning Katara because he's like, no, I got to do it on my own, and he does.
Do they lean into that later? Because I didn't really catch that in the first 4 episodes. Do they tell him in the later episodes you have to do it alone?
Yes.
Because that completely contradicts episode 4 where he's like, oh, I can rely on my friend.
Oh no, they go back on that pretty hard in the last couple episodes. And also, before I just had to ask this because you guys might know a little better than I do. Is there a avatar from the Northern Water Tribe that Aang ever interacts with?
He pretty much only interacts with the 2 avatars.
So they make something up later. I thought they made it up. They make something up later on in that.
It might come from, because I know that.
Oh, maybe that's the Katara thing.
Some of the.
I think that is from Korra. Yeah.
Okay.
Mark Clark, thank you so much for the $9.99. You got to go to bed, but you just downloaded my #1 book from 2023, David Jarrett's Tech Mech. See you next week. Are you talking about the Book of Mormon, or are you talking about Gunmetal Gods?
Yeah,
probably that one.
Probably Gunmetal Gods. Well, hey, I encourage you to read the Book of Mormon too, though. That's fine.
I mean, something we can get to at some point when we want to go on. But I finally finished Lightbringer. It's been a couple weeks. I was
nice.
Tech issues, but I did finish that. I finished the Defiant stuff, and so I finally got to start in on.
Oh, it's about time! It's not the year of Sanderson anymore.
Right.
Sorry, I interrupted you, David. You were saying something.
Other David. Me or other?
No,
David?
I thought you were saying you were going to bring up a point.
I don't. That was it. That whole avatar, because there's
I think that's from Korra.
Okay, because he meets up with one of them, and it's like he's like this bitter, and he like again, it's more it's this more exposition about this guy from the Northern Water Tribe that spent his entire life fighting back spirits on the other side. And,
it's been a while since I've watched it, but that's Korra.
So he has this interaction with him, and it changes his whole personality about like being friends or whatever. It sucks.
Yeah, you get glimpses of the other avatars, but Aang only ever interacts with with the two main ones.
Yeah,
90% of it.
Okay.
I don't even. I'm trying to remember much of him actually interacting with Kyoshi in the animated. Show.
Season 2, I think. Right.
The trial. He channels her spirit to. When she's being tried for killing that one guy, today we'll celebrate Avatar Day, the day the Avatar was not boiled in oil.
It's been a while since I've seen.
He puts on her clothes and
vaguely familiar, yeah.
And she tells the story about how he was a warmonger and she tried to get him to stop peacefully, and it was his own hubris that killed him. Yeah,
which I will say, as much as I was okay with the fact that they replaced the manifesting as the other avatar, instead of Roku doing this just because it worked out with Kyoshi. I didn't like his conversation with Kyoshi in the avatar state. That one I was like, she was too angry, not understand, not working with him, not giving him good answers that maybe
she was girl bossing out the wazoo.
She was a little
a little bit.
Which, I mean, she's the Avatar, sure, but like you got to be helpful, right?
Well, and that's the thing is, it's not even because so that's why I wouldn't have used the term girl boss, but the idea of like she was just too angry about it, just too like it doesn't make sense to be any individual that's this past life version of you trying to tell you, look, there's some information you need to know. Here's what you got to know. Like, just doesn't come across.
Yeah, they should be passing down their wisdom, not like.
Well, it also implies that she can see into the future, which is not an Avatar power. Like,
that was kind of weird.
And if she could, why didn't she give him any of the relevant information other than just no? You need to go this way. Like,
she doesn't. Is she the one that tells him that the Northern Water Tribe? Because I might have missed it, but he gets all up on it later on.
So we know we're not
go to the Northern Water.
We're
Tribe.
not. I assume you watched the whole season. This means we don't get the library, right? Or that's season 2.
That's season 2.
That's probably season 2.
I'm pretty sure it's I'm pretty
but like
sure
we already we already know everything. Oh no, because that's when they find. Sorry, I was thinking that's when they find out about the comet, but that's when they find out about the eclipse. Okay, they could still do the library.
Yeah, she'll be back. Don't worry. If they do a season 2,
she'll be back.
She'll be back.
That's the sort of thing where it's like, I get this. This is the adaptation that I actually don't hate, even though I love what they did in the original. But it's the adaptation of in the animated, they had to learn about the comet, and he learned about the comet from Roku.
Because Roku would be
because he would be the one to know about it.
Yeah, the Firebender would be the one to know.
About the one who was alive when it happened, right? Or no, I guess he died. Right, he died because
it would have been.
It was going to happen, and he needed to be taken out of the picture.
But the other thing is for me that I'm okay with the fact that like people recognizing this correlation, or like people having figured out that the comet was kind of a big part of it. Not that they're like, oh, the comet's coming back, just that the comet was what gave them the power or whatever. Was like that's a fine thing for them to already know. So you don't need Roku to be the one to tell them that, because that can be known knowledge. I don't know.
I'm realizing that I misspoke about the order of the live action episodes, because the secret tunnel is in episode 4. It's not in episode 3. So I do genuinely like episode 3.
Yeah,
and Secret Tunnel makes episode 4 even worse.
Yeah, they're stuck in the tunnel while Aang's dealing with Boomy, right? Is that the whole?
And then they show up
weirdly,
to help
like,
the power. Okay, why?
Yes, it's very convenient that they show up in that moment when he's using his force powers to keep the
But why is he? Why doesn't he just move? Why is he holding up the?
Well, yeah, he's holding. If he can blow stuff away, he can just push it away. If he's got the strength to hold him up like that, it doesn't make any sense.
That was a bizarre one because
they were trying to do the attack of the clones.
A little bit further out of the way, but then he just tosses them off to the side where it probably wouldn't have fallen on Boomy.
He did the same thing that he should have done.
It's like the Green Goblin choice. It's like, do I drop the girl or the children? It's
suffer the children. I still love that they did that in Madam Web, That was my favorite part. Right before it happened, I leaned over to David. I was like, David, they're doing it. They're doing the Green Goblin. They're doing the suffer the children moment. And he's like, oh crap, you're right.
the only reason that I can completely forgive that in Madam Web is because that's not just in that. It's in every one
everybody.
of the Spider-Man movies, and this is a Spider-Man adjacent sort of thing.
Yeah, except this is a moment where it made no sense.
Yeah, they need
as dumb as it is to add that to her powers, they had decided that she was going to have some unique ability to be in different places at once to just solve this problem that Spider-Man apparently does. Like, okay, the setup for it was dumb. The fact that it's in there also is just
the villain. The villain should have easily been able to dispatch of her in that, and before that, any of that happens too.
Yeah. Just like Aang should have been able to either push the rocks away or, I don't know, walk 2 feet to the left while still channeling.
Right.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah,
not channeling. Sorry, that's Wheel of Time. While still bending.
Same difference.
The biggest problem is that they then completely. So I bought it until they tackle Boomy out of the way, and then he does exactly what he needed to do anyway. That could have avoided hitting him. And Boomy.
Yeah, like, Boomy could have easily stopped the two of them.
Do that, but then he does it anyway. So
yeah, it was a little bit clunky there.
Even if we get and if we've talked about the narrative problems with Boomy, but also the acting with King Boomy was just. He's couldn't.
He's trying. I think he's trying too hard.
I couldn't get it.
It gets over. It's overdone.
Because in the show he's a very kooky.
That is a hard character to get right.
Right.
They're trying to keep that kookiness while they've also completely undermined him and rewritten him to be this jaded character as opposed to this like just quirky and trying to be like, here, let me teach you some things that because I recognize you and have you figure it out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's weird. It's like, oh, we'll mess up his hair, and then he's a quirky character, and he just keeps messing with Aang in different ways. It's just not. It does not follow through the way that it should.
Here's another example of something where I'm like, this is something that works in animation, but no thank you in the live action. I kept getting distracted by his
armpit hair.
His armpit hair was way too much.
It's very
that
white.
in your animation. You do that in your animation, and it's a fun little. Okay, it's an old man with the great. In live action, I was like, why? No.
There was a lot of makeup work that was bad. Like King Boomy's prosthetics was really bad, and the inventor guy, the guy from Community.
Yes.
Dude, that was awesome. When I saw who it was,
his performance was fine, Abed, but man, that beard was 200% fake.
Yeah. Same thing with Firelord Ozai's little soul patch.
Yeah, but it looks like Ozai. Well, my worst one is Uncle Iroh's. That awful.
His beard's not great.
Bad.
Again, that comes back to
doesn't look great, but I think that what it's going for still looks like it. I can't quite get mad at it, but I agree with you that it doesn't quite get all the way where I want it to be because it's everything that it should be, but it just looks just a step too fake.
Yeah,
all of the old people makeup doesn't look very good in the show. Like you can tell that it's like, oh, they aged up all of these people.
This is like a 30-year-old guy playing Boomy.
Yeah, if you're gonna do that, why not slightly de-age him when he goes up into being like buff? Like do something that's if you're gonna do it more dramatic and you can't make him. Animation, you can easily change someone like that. Then do something that shows like a very big difference. Like it's like crazy that this guy would be able to look as good as he does, 100 years later. There's ways to do it.
That reminds me of when Aang goes into the Avatar state in Episode 1. He's completely CGI there, and there's a
his face,
really weird.
It was but it was a close up of his face, which why was it CGI?
Exactly.
It was a close up. It wasn't a close up of his mouth. It wasn't even his whole face, and they showed his like.
It was like.
Could they not figure out how to make him like glow correctly?
No, but they weren't even showing him glowing. They were showing his mouth doing this.
No, it had his forehead.
Did it?
Too.
Okay.
But yeah, it was really weird. It was a really close shot that just like zoomed in.
It was so weird,
and
I don't know why that was there.
Yeah, it was really off-putting. I was like, that is not the same actor there. That's a CGI double, and then his mouth did like this weird like uncanny valley smile thing in the middle of it.
I was trying to do that.
And I can't figure out if that's got something to do with the CG. There's some weird stuff like that in this where there's awkward animations, and I'm sure it wasn't AI generated, probably, but there's stuff in it that just makes you wonder, like, why does it look like that? Like, CG's been around for a long time, and that's not normal. There's some unusual stuff with some of the CG in this.
Yeah, like I say, that shot did not have to be a full CG double. I don't understand why they did that.
It makes no sense why it was.
They do that to him quite a few times.
It was like they forgot to shoot it.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we'll do it with CGI.
You're right. It was weird.
That's possible. That's definitely possible.
Anyway, we still have
or maybe they filmed it like it was supposed to be filmed, and Katara's hugging him in that scene, and then they're like, oh wait, we're not going to do that anymore, so they have to they have to do a CGI version of him by himself. That honestly, that might be the reason.
Oh, well, I was actually going to bring up that I think that's another reason too that I haven't really gotten the a great vibe with Katara is because there's no real connection with her King.
She's spent no time. She's had 2 scenes practicing with him teaching her waterbending.
Yeah,
and that's it.
I might like her. Like,
that's the only time they've spent together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually do like, though, that Aang gets to impart some of what he has learned as a bender in general that she's then able to apply. I actually kind of like that because there's the scene in the original animated where she's like, sometimes your all-knowingness is just really annoying, but at that point he hadn't done any of that, and in this one you actually get to see him sharing stuff with her that would make sense that him as somebody who does know some bending can share as concepts that she then can apply. I kind of like some of that.
Which is then really weird why apparently in the, David, you said in the last couple episodes, she said she's like a self-learned thing because in episode 1, she had to have Aang help her out. And then
Aang help her out, and then she gets the water. She does get the water school, which again, if you're going to adapt it and take out that plot line, so you don't have to spend time on that plot line of her stealing it, getting it from her grandma is something that they held. I actually kind of like.
Yeah, that was fine. But
they
she
also
had to have Aang help her out. She had to have the scroll, and then she had to have Jet help her remove the block or whatever. So it makes no sense. And she turns around and says, "Oh, I learned this all by myself."
Me.
And the Northern Water, I can't remember his name, but the guy in the Northern Water tribe that won't train her originally, like he eventually is the one who helps her get to the level where she can take on Zuko. She can do the thing because her biggest, and this is the thing about her, is her biggest problem is that she has that natural talent. They show from the very beginning that she is a very strong waterbender. She just doesn't know how to do anything. Right. And her arc in that first season is she becomes a competent bender, and she to the point where she takes on Zuko and almost wins.
And it's a great fight.
Yeah, it's really good. And like even the fight between her and the Master and the Northern Water Tribe is really good too.
Oh, that's a great scene.
They do it, and it's kind of flumpy, if I'm going to be nice about it. It just doesn't,
because in the first 4 episodes, the fight scenes have been pretty good.
Yeah,
they've been okay.
I find them awkward, but it's okay.
I liked the one with Aang and Zuko, like in the laundry. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was where it got a little goofy for me when they're running away in a Mashu, where they're in the like you said amidst the laundry hanging. That was where I was like, this is a little.
No, I liked it. That was good.
The show honestly, the show needs more goof. It's it takes itself way too seriously.
It needs more heart.
Yeah, it's definitely missing some of that.
To me, I think the reason that I was a little iffy on that was because I was like, to me, it felt like they really wanted to homage some classic martial arts cinema.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I see what you're going for, but I just feel like you're trying too hard.
Kind of like Jackie Chan,
exactly.
like use what's around you kind of style.
It
could have been done better for sure, but I didn't hate that moment. Also, Katara just automatically gets her freezing powers in episode 4 without any practice or even knowing that was like the audience doesn't even know that is a power that waterbenders have.
Oh, don't worry because they give away the firebending one too in the next couple of episodes.
Are we talking about the color?
Lightning?
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They hint at it, and then I think it's the very next episode. They're just like, oh yeah, this is a thing, and it's like, why?
She discovers the lightning. She discovers the freezing power accidentally in the show, right? Because she's a flawed character. It's in a moment of anger, right? And then she can only do it behind her, right? So in that fight later on in the series, she turns around so that she can do the freezing thing.
Yeah, she realized. Yeah, she uses that moment.
She literally does. She turns around in a fight scene so she can freeze.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's such a funny, it's such a good moment in the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like I don't think the creators really understand like a lot of the details of what makes the original show work. And it's also just it's a general problem with this idea that this needed a live action. It didn't need the Shyamalan version 15 years ago, whenever that was. It doesn't really need this either.
So
It doesn't need one. But I don't think that it's a bad idea to try. I think you could make a good live action version of the show.
Yeah.
It doesn't need it though. You're right. And the original is just so good. It's perfection.
They're just.
I will say my favorite change. It's so good. Is the secret tunnel was made by lesbians.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I was wondering if we were going to get.
I love it. I love it so much. I love putting that kind of stuff in kids shows. It's my favorite thing.
So wait. They were saying that Oma and Shu were both female. Did I miss that?
They're lesbians.
Yeah.
He said
Everybody
she
had
did
that
this,
all.
and then
It's
the next
only-
one was, she did
It's
that.
only in the drawing, but which
Yeah, the little
I'm glad they don't.
band or whatever.
Hey,
talks about it.
Alan, remember
Shut
this
the camera,
isn't a
bro.
kid show. It's targeted at the
No, that's why I love it.
people,
I
so-
love it so much.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing in the world.
That's what I was saying earlier. Like, I don't know who this show is really for.
Yeah, I don't
Because
either.
it's like it doesn't do a good job of.
Oh, you showed up just at the right time.
Oh, what's up, dude? Not the tunnel, but the thing. It's so weird because it doesn't have like that. We made this for kids, but there's enough material in here that adults are going to find things to attach themselves to, especially as the animated show goes on. Like it has a lot more of those dark moments and stuff that like kids aren't necessarily going to pick up on. It's all of the like jokey and fun moments and all the cool bending and all of that. Whereas like the story's actually mature enough that if you're watching this with your kids, you're like, oh yeah, this is actually pretty good. Or just like if you're a little older, you're like, oh, wow, like I can't believe this is as good as it is.
I was in college when I watched the show for the first time, and I was like, "This is marvelous."
I think I had watched it a little bit when it was on television, but a buddy of mine had the whole DVD box set, and I just like sat down and watched through the entire thing in a weekend.
Dude, I love the. I can't even tell you how many times I've watched the show. I had all of the episodes downloaded onto my Zune, and I would just listen to I had a 30-minute drive to school to get to college because I didn't live in the dorms. I lived with this guy's mom. We were supposed to be having fun together, and he decided to go to Idaho for school.
Sorry.
So I drove to school like 30 minutes every day. I would just put it on and just listen to it. So and it works. The show totally works as an audio drama.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved the lesbian stuff. It was great.
Yeah, it's just why.
And the argument is always going to be, oh, why is it such a big deal? Well, and the reverse argument is, then why is it so important?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
that end,
board that you
it's
change it.
the thing that we get a lot of the time because we covered Puss in Boots: The Last Wish recently.
Yeah.
And people are like, why are you putting so much detail or like so much thought into like a kids show or a kids movie?
Because it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and the thing is like, why do you think kids need stupid entertainment? Like, why can't they be challenged? You know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of stuff that when all of us were growing up, there was stuff that maybe was in cases a little too much for us, but like shows didn't treat you like you couldn't handle certain intense moments. I mean, like even the original Star Wars stuff, like even like Empire, there's all sorts of stuff that's probably gonna push the limits of like what a kid is able to like sit and watch without like freaking out or whatever.
Remember when they used to make horror movies for kids?
Yeah, Goosebumps.
Gremlins. Yeah, Goosebumps.
Mhm.
Are
Like
you
legitimately scary stuff.
Yeah.
David, I know you need to peace out.
I do. I have to get up really early in the morning.
Okay, but so I just got one more question for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to bring this up later, and I haven't gotten to this part of the TV show, but is this true that Firelord Ozai is a good dad?
Dude, honestly, there are moments in the show where like, and I don't say this lightly, and I know it gets overused, but like he's pretty based at times. Like he has like a very what? Hang on, what does that say?
Yeah, the showrunner said we didn't want to make him an abusive father.
Oh no, he's still an abusive
because
father
it's a negative Asian stereotype.
Oh wow!
So we wanted to show him as a loving and supportive father figure. That is a quote from the showrunners.
No, he's definitely still abusive, but he's got these moments where like he's one of the only characters in the show, at least from a writing standpoint, where like all of his motivations, everything that he's doing, still like lines up with who he is. And he does like he challenges his kids, like the whole thing with like Zuko where and the fight and like Zuko embarrassing him and then him scarring him, like it all still happens. And it I guess like to give the show a little bit of credit, like they still go that far with it. I think those moments are undermined though by all of the other firebenders burning everyone else alive earlier on in the show. Because at that point you're like, yeah, okay, but like and there's stuff to talk about in that, but yeah, he's got these moments where he's just like, you're not questioning my authority. Like the reason that you all have everything that you have, or like the reason that things are the way that they are is because like we have dominance. Like I'm going to be the person that brings, he's using like an iron fist, if you will. And it's like, but his motivations, everything that he does, you're like, yeah, okay. Like you make sense as a character, like everything you're doing. Except, to be fair, except that moment in the beginning with the whole like, haha, it was a ruse the whole time thing. Like, barring that.
Well, that's his dad.
That's his grandpa actually.
Grandpa? Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, good point. But yeah, so for the most part, like I think that I can't think of anything right now that would make me think like, oh, that doesn't work here or whatever. Like so far, he seems to be a like pretty solid. And everything that he's done. And I do wish that like with his daughter, like they had just done what they did in the show, put her at the end. Like it's too many characters, it's like they're spending too much time on all this other stuff.
There's no reason for Azula to be in the show.
Yeah.
So far I haven't hated it, but it's
the last episode,
Yeah, she needed to come in later. It's really weird because
post-credit scene last episode.
I'm pretty sure in the show, like he already pretty much trusts her and believes that she can get everything done. Like that's the reason they bring her in at the end is like, hey, it's your turn. Like you need to go out and take care of this. Like you're more trusted than your brother. Your brother has betrayed us. Like that whole deal. And it works really, really well. Where in this they bring her in so early and they try to send her on this really quick arc of like, oh, my father doesn't believe that I can, but because now I learned how to do lightning before anybody else, like. Now I'm able to go out and they give so much like agency to characters when it's like the world that you live in is like dominated by some of these specific rulers. Like it doesn't make sense that you guys would be pushing back so hard on
her whole character is she's just desperate for his approval. She refuses to see her father's flaws because she loves him because he's an abusive dad, right? And she just loves him so much, right?
And it's not like that in the show for the most part. Like I think she still like wants that, but like she just thinks he's wrong in everything, and that she needs to be the one to go out there. And
no, she's desperate to gain his approval over Zuko. She already has it mostly, and she wants to prove it.
And like there is a moment in there where because she says that she's like, Commander Zhao's the one that found the Avatar, and he corrects her and he's like, no, your brother is actually the one that did that. And so again, it's like him as a character, like the Fire Lord, like pretty much on point with the way that he's portrayed in that, but everybody else, it's just like it's not working for him.
Do you think is the show too woke, or are we going to get the moment in season 2 between Zuko and his grandpa, Uncle Iroh, and Uncle Iroh, where he says, I know that I need to be nice to my sister because we're siblings. No, she's crazy and she needs to go down. Are we going to get it? Because that's the best line in the whole show.
I doubt that.
I know, and the
No,
thing is,
she's
is
crazy.
Like, it's
it
got
doesn't-
all of those. Sorry, go ahead. You're good.
I was just gonna say it doesn't feel like it's so far to me. It doesn't feel like it's going to be like, no, we can't do that thing. Whether or not they will is another question. But
Yeah, or if it, I don't know. Like the reception's been pretty mixed. Has it gotten renewed for a second season?
It's
I don't know.
I think it's already in production.
Oh,
They
okay.
haven't officially announced a season 2. I think they're waiting for season 1 feedback. But
If, like, it works, they'll probably
people have it's not official, but most insiders have said they're already working on it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, we'll have to see, and we'll have to see if they dig deeper into this sort of like. I mean, because I think some of it's better calling it like these girl power moments in the show where it's like this stuff is just unnecessary. It messes with the plot. It doesn't make sense to have like all of the Northern Water Tribe women all of a sudden want to fight when their entire lives they've been healers. It's like they've never been trained. They are not trained warriors. Like it makes no sense for them to do this. So you get
also they'd be more useful as healers.
Yeah,
in a
and
fight.
that's why it's really funny that the guy that the master, he just looks at all of them. He's like, well, I mean, you can go over there and fix that wall and maybe heal those people, but like I don't know what you want. He's basically like, get out of my way, but go do what you want. And so there's no
I'll be intrigued to see how that goes, because that's the thing is the show, the original show already has a lot of really good, positive, girl power kinds of moments.
It has great girl power moments.
Yeah.
Because they're real.
The difference is there I was gonna say the difference is they're not
not
she's
forced.
not alone moments,
They weren't done to get points on a to get ESG points.
Yeah, except and the only other thing is they're mostly not over the top and shoved in your face, except that there are even some of those ones like when Sokka's being an idiot and sexist that they were,
Oh, you mean where he's like supposed to learn that not to do that? He's like he meets people along the way and women along the way.
Again,
like, oh shit.
You are the king of predictions, my friend. It's only going to last 3 seasons.
Well, that's
as much as it was kind of dumb that they're cutting out some of his arc there. I think what they did with Sokka to show him like learning and overcoming and becoming better and all that. I think again, Sokka's been done so well. I actually really like what they've done with Sokka. Yeah. In spite of the fact that they removed a really cool character arc for him,
Yeah, I don't know. Because to be honest, I feel like they're with the stuff with the princess as well. Like there's stuff in that feels like they make some changes to that are just like okay, like yeah. Well, and like the spirit that steals people's faces, they butcher that entire.
Is that the one that steals people's faces? Because I know that the one that they're leaning into is the one that's just the spirit that is angry. Because that's straight from the first season, the panda spirit.
Oh, the panda's there, but the I can't remember his name, but the
face stealer.
Yeah, he's there as well. Yeah,
I was going to say that's not in the first season of the animated, is it?
It is. I just finished season 1 of that. So
I'm only halfway through season 1.
Ko, yes, thank you. He yes, because some of the names slipped my mind, but Aang is warned about Ko ahead of time, and then they just like decide that doesn't need to be the case in this, and he runs into him. But it's like the whole point was like he needed to be warned about that because Aang is overly emotional, and so if he shows emotions in those moments, then he's gonna die. And they're like, no, we don't need that. It's really weird, like the way that it's all set up.
Interesting. I'll have to see how that turns out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to go back and watch the original because it's been like 15 years since I've seen it.
It's pretty good.
Well, you've got Netflix and it's on Netflix right now, so you got Netflix to watch this. So
yeah, I like the pacing quite a bit in the original show. Like it's I miss that. Like I miss being like, okay, cool. Now on to the next one. Cool, we get the next thing. Oh, there's these great moments with different characters. It's like it's missing.
My son is 8 years old. He's watched Avatar more times than I have in my entire life. He finished the show and immediately restarted it. And then I said, hey, there's more. They did The Legend of Korra. He couldn't get past the first episode. He didn't like it, and has only been watching the the anime.
I can also understand that like that's a big change and shift that man just not
he also
technology progression and everything.
He wanted to watch live action with me, and he sat through the first 2 episodes, but after like 10 minutes he wasn't paying attention. He was playing.
Yeah, I don't think
he was jumping around the room playing with his little sisters. He's not. He said he liked it. He's like, yeah, it was good. But like it's not gripping him like the TV show is.
I watched the first episode with all my kids and they liked it, but they haven't seen past the first episode of this.
The first episode wasn't horrible.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been enjoying myself. It
wasn't great.
Pause, but I don't know. I've been enjoying it for what it is, and we'll see what the next 4 episodes.
If you guys have to go,
yes.
Plug. What do you need to plug? You're welcome to come back next week when we've all seen the last 4 episodes. Or
I may do that.
Busy, you don't have to.
Are you guys watching Dune?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's the problem. We also have to talk about Dune Part 2 next week. It's going to be like a 5-hour show.
Yeah, I'm going to see Dune on Friday. I'm really excited about it. I'm really thankful that it's early enough in the year and we're actually getting something that by all measures seems to be good. I'm
getting shivers.
Yeah.
Just remembering that's this week. Okay.
Yes, it is. I'm really looking forward to that. Friday. So I've got to finish this. Got to see Dune, and I got to pull myself away from Helldivers too because I've been playing that a ton.
Is it good?
So it's a ton of fun. You need people to play it with. You don't want to play it by yourself, but it's quite good. They finally are fixing some of the server issues. So
I've heard good things.
Yeah, I gotta fix the audio issues on my end. It's weird, and I can't. It's a me thing, and I need to figure out what it is. Yeah. But yeah, it's a ton of fun. It's great to play with other people, and it's got like a nice sense of humor to it as well. It's got like those Starship Trooper vibes.
It looks like Starship Troopers.
Yeah, and the characters will scream out like "For my democracy" as they're like blowing up bugs, and yeah, it's pretty great. But yeah, thank you for having me on, and thank you guys.
Thanks for coming, man.
It's been excellent. I love talking about this stuff. So.
What's the one video people should check out from your channel? Is it your sales pitch?
That's a good question. So right now we've been uploading the podcast every week. So if you were curious we did a semi-decent breakdown of Madam Web, almost like from the beginning to the end. We're trying to get back into doing that. It's a little harder when we don't have
footage.
Legally, we don't have footage.
It's really hard. That's why it's so much easier to critique TV shows, right? And especially if it's weekly.
Yeah, we've been doing Halo a little bit, but
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's very bad. It's the other thing I gotta watch before tomorrow.
Worse than season 1.
It's pretty much on par, I think.
I saw the clip from this week that he's completely out of his suit.
Oh yeah, he spends
in a fight scene.
They completely blew their budget on the first episode with like the action, and then so far the rest of it's been people standing in rooms pretending that they understand like the politics of that world.
Wow.
And yeah, we're gonna we might talk about that episode this week, and then we're gonna be done till the show's over. That was a big problem I had with Wheel of Time season 2. I got through a few episodes and I was like, I just told Joseph, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I was like, this show is killing me. I was like, I can't finish. He finished the whole thing. But they I don't want to get into that, but like they ruin so much and they give away so much from the books way too early on. And
the links are all in the video description to all the channels.
Yeah. So yeah, we stream every Monday, and then the videos go up sometime during the week again when I actually have a little bit of free time because I just got a puppy, so things have been insane around here. But yeah, that's the biggest thing is like we're there live every week, and we try to break stuff down as in the detail that we can in the time that we have right now. Because some weeks I just we run out of time, and we'll get into some of the minutia of certain stuff. So, but yeah, thank you guys.
Nice. It's good to have you.
Yeah. I will do my best to at least stop by next week so that.
Okay, you're welcome.
Because I'm really curious what you guys are going to think of the rest of this show. Because I think it just gets worse. I mean, like I don't think it's very good to begin with, but I think as it goes on, it's just like, oh, why did you do that? it's just kind of a mess towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyway,
Okay.
I gotta get out of here.
Peace out.
Cool.
All right, guys.
Have a good night.
See ya.
Did you guys notice in episode 1 when he finds Monkiatsu's body? All of the bodies have been burned to a crisp by the Fire Lord, and Monkiatsu's clothing is still intact, which is how he recognizes him as his friend.
Wasn't it was the necklace?
Yeah.
No,
His
robes.
has clothing, yeah.
He's just
But the rest
clothing.
of his clothing is still there too. The necklace looks a little bit burned.
Outside.
The necklace that's a giveaway for him to recognize, but he also all of his clothes are still there. Yeah. But then again, that's still the way it is in the animated. Most of his clothes are still there.
But they also didn't show him getting burnt to a crisp.
Yeah.
In the anime.
Maybe he didn't. Maybe he's still alive.
Maybe he did it one of those body swaps.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
So many.
I'll probably be leaving in not too long either.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these characters though, they just aren't working very like Sokka is working for me. Sokka's doing good. Katara is not working. Aang, I don't think it's his fault that it's not working, right? Like I think he's doing an okay job. It's just why are you making those choices with him, right? His performance is fine. I am shocked by Zuko. I actually like Zuko. He's doing good.
Yeah.
Iroh, it's weird.
Iroh.
It's like an uncanny valley. I like him.
Yeah.
It's not Iroh yet to me. I'm still seeing that's not it's not bad, but the only time it worked for me was when he was crying, and I was like, this is great, and it's way too soon.
Yeah.
Way too soon.
Yeah.
The one other there was one time, because again they've removed a lot of the goofiness, and so even Iroh is not as goofy, because that's one of the big things is you get really endeared to him early on because he's just so goofy in contrast to Zuko being
he kills you with kindness, and you're not we're not even getting that. He's kind of mean
to understanding where he gets to. And
let's see. Commander Zhao completely.
I remember exactly what it was. There was one time Iroh did something like that's a very Iroh thing to do with the we need to get some food. I think it was also when they were in.
Oh yeah. When he's
a couple times.
When he's in Omashu and he keeps talking about all the food they need to try, that was good. Yeah.
And he keeps offering everyone jasmine tea. Yeah.
Yep, and referencing it. So that's where you're like, okay, this fits pretty well with the character that you've been. I guess this is the more serious version of the goofy character you had in the anime. This is how you take that goofiness and make it a real live action goofiness.
Yeah, more realistic.
And that would work, But.
Let's look at the other characters though. Commander Zhao completely does not work for me.
Yeah.
Jet was fine. Jet worked for me. The inventor guy, I thought he was fine, other than his beard looked ridiculous. King Boomy completely does not work for me. There are more misses than there are hits.
I liked the representation. I liked the performance of King Boomy.
I didn't like either. I didn't like the performance or the characterization.
I didn't love the performance either. It really did, because we saw the clips and the things that they released just before the show came out that showed that scene with King Boomy, and it looked like Count Olaf. Like I think it was somebody we watched here, and somebody in the comments said, "Why is he Count Olaf?" Or maybe that was something on a Discord server that I'm on. There was
that wasn't here.
Why
But
is Boomy?
It's a good comment.
Yeah.
And I think Azula is
Azula's
garbage. Azula's garbage. She doesn't make sense.
And it's weird too, because even with her companions, like her
oh
friends.
my gosh! Can we talk about how bad May is? Can we?
What?
May. She only had the one line, and I hated it.
Yeah. It was
how hard it is. How hard is it to get a goth chick? That shouldn't be hard to cast.
Like that's the thing. She was supposed to not care, but it just seemed like she was bored. It was just like, man, which I get. That's the thing. When they were first interacting, it just seemed off. And then I was like, oh wait, that character is supposed to be this goth and is supposed to not care about anything, but it just felt really awkward. That whole
what's the other girl's name? The
Ty Lee.
Ty Lee. Yeah, I didn't like her either. I mean, she only had one line, but I hate her.
Yeah, she wasn't bubbly enough. Not nearly bubbly enough.
To dislike it, but
also she doesn't look very athletic.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
sorry.
I didn't.
All of them are like really like they got the baby fat still going. You're like, okay, sure.
Yeah. We'll have to see how that all turns out. I think you can kind of get away with, but Ty Lee being supposed to be I watched the Super Carlin Brothers put a little mashup of all the different videos they've done on Avatar before, and they had an interesting one with Ty Lee maybe being a descendant of air nomads, just without the air bending.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, that would be kind of cool. But
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed. I'm sad.
Yeah.
I think there's something there. Like I'm it's not just a wash. Like there's
it's not garbage.
There is something there to this show, and it could be good. It's just not.
Yeah. See, and this is what I'll say about, like, this is basically what I took out of the movie too. And I know everyone's the movie is so much worse. To me, the movie is about the same spot where it's like there's a couple things that kind of worked, but it's a lot of like just not really hitting on all cylinders.
This is much better than the movie. I'm sorry, that movie was awful.
And that's what I'm saying is for me, because I don't have the movie so far down here, when I say this is about the same as the movie, I'm saying, oh, we're here. I see the movie as maybe just below this. You know, it's a little bit.
You've had some bad takes in the past.
I don't understand how you can mispronounce the characters' names. Like, if it's a book adaptation, fine. But it's a TV show. The
My
names
name
are
is
pronounced. Why are you mispronouncing the names? It makes no sense.
I really wanted, because everyone would have screamed. I really wanted somebody early in the show, like Sokka at first,
Is it, what's your name? Ong? No.
Ong?
No. No.
I wanted that so bad. I wanted it so bad because everyone would be so mad at it.
It would have been funny. It would have been funny.
That would have been a good callback. Is Ong? No, Aang.
No, Aang. Like, anyway. No, Sokka, my name is Aang, not, whatever. Yeah. Oh man!
You opened a can of worms. Yeah, I'm not dreading watching the next 4 episodes, but I'm not excited to watch them either.
Yeah.
Here, let's do. You guys want to do some news?
A little bit to the King to the Nation. That it sounds like somebody else told the writers about it. I do feel like the writers watched the show once. They were like, hey, I'm going to write an adaptation of the show, so let me watch it once, and then
it's like the LaCroix joke, It's like someone is, It's like sipping a glass of water while someone in a different room shouts the name Lemon. It's that's what this Avatar adaptation is. It's secondhand. It's secondhand Avatar.
Yeah.
It's telephone Avatar.
But at least it's not Evatar.
It's Evatar. I don't know. The Kyoshi stuff was pretty on the nose. Anyway, you guys see Gladiator 2 is going to be real expensive.
Oh my gosh.
Holy crap.
They're making a Gladiator 2?
What? Where have you been? Yes.
Apparently under a rock.
They're making a sequel to the movie, and I think there's only one character from the first movie in this movie.
Well, Russell Crowe definitely doesn't look like that anymore.
And it's the... No. It's doubled.
It hasn't gotten too far along in production, so it's not surprising that you haven't heard too much about it. But yeah,
it hasn't gotten that far in production, and it's already
okay. I suppose
production budget.
What I was really getting at was the idea that it's not like something that everybody's talking about a ton in the news stuff,
right?
But it has been mentioned. I think we've talked about it here on the show.
There's not a whole lot of news about it other than that it's being made.
And it's going to be real expensive.
Martina, it's not going to be about him. It's going to be about the kid.
Yeah.
Well, this
is the story that I'm hearing.
I got to say, though, the sad thing is though, we're spending this much money on making movies instead of
instead of sending it to Ukraine, or what?
Well, no, instead of sending it to Africa, to help build wells or build infrastructure or
building wells in Africa is racist. Haven't you heard?
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Mr.
I know.
Beast got in trouble for that. You can't.
I know.
Alan, don't you?
What?
Yeah,
it's
totally backwards. But I mean, we're spending $310 million on making a movie instead of putting that money towards something better.
Anyway, it's expensive. It's going to be interesting. I think like the black guy, the other gladiator is going to be in it, and the she wasn't the queen, she was the sister of Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah. She's in it.
Yeah,
too.
But the parent of the kid that it's going to be focused around, and that's now all grown up.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, I'm going to watch it. I don't think it's going to make money. Yeah, it would need to at least it needs to get real close to $1 billion to break even. Yeah,
that's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, Ridley Scott. I don't know. In the last, I still need to go see Napoleon, but
I was gonna say.
I got to see that too.
It was a highlight reel that was too spread out, and
it's technically a direct sequel, but it feels like a remake. So like they're not gonna get the natural built-in audience that you would to a sequel. You know, it's got a lot of great. It's got to be perfect if they want to make money off of this. So it's not his kid. It's the
other kid.
It's the Emperor's son.
Emperor's nephew, kid.
Yeah.
Leonidas, maybe? I don't know,
whatever. I don't know. I don't know anything about the story. Okay. Mr. Scott is only as good as the script is, maybe. Yeah. Did you see this, though? They completely scrapped everything to do with Silk and decided, hey, we should make a movie that boys want to see because those are the people who read comic books.
Yeah, we'll see if they stick to it.
Doesn't sound like. I mean, that sounds like the stuff that everybody's trying to say that they're moving away from nowadays. That like.
Oh, it's because they don't make money.
Yeah.
So I mean, possibly good news. We did just have Madam Web though, so. We'll see. We'll see about that.
That was interesting. I do like Silk as a character. Her character design is really cool, But
the reality is they're taking all the wrong messages. It's just like when Dildo came out and they took the wrong message that we don't want to see side stories or whatever. It's not that. It's that you poorly advertised the film. You did it right after The Last Jedi. That was very divisive. You did it at a different time spot that really all these other things. They took all the wrong messages from it. Same thing with this. It's it's because we're making it for women. No, it's because you're trying too hard to do too much messaging as opposed to just making a good story. If you can make a good Silk story, do it, and guys will show up, girls will show up. It's not about whether it's because guys won't watch it. No, it's not that. It's just make a good story and everyone will watch it.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it. Do you guys watch True Detective? Anyone?
I watched the first season.
I thought about it a couple times. Never actually have.
So they just did a fourth season, which everyone complained about. But apparently it saved the series. I've literally seen zero good press for True Detective season 4. I've only heard bad things because they tried to because it's mostly been anthologistic.
Right.
Is that a word? Anthologistic?
Anthology, yeah.
It's been anthologies. Like each season is its own thing, and then but season 4 is a new showrunner, and tried to tie it into season 1, and everyone hated it. Yeah. But apparently, it saved the series, and it's already been renewed for season 4. But it's really funny that the original creator of 1, 2, and 3, apparently is spreading hate by criticizing it. But all he did was retweet someone who had something negative to say, and that means spreading hate, which is a form of Hitlerian evil for not liking someone bastardizing your TV show. Yeah. What's crazy is all of this. Everyone's saying the negative press is sexist. It's just because the first time it's female leads, right? You guys never criticized the show until it had female leads, but everyone hated season 2. Like I don't know anything about the show other than everyone loved season 1, everyone hated season 2, and it's reflected in the Rotten Tomatoes scores.
Yeah.
And they course corrected and made a good season 3. So you literally cannot say You're only criticizing the show because it's women, because they literally criticized season 2. Everyone did.
Yep. That's exactly what I've heard as well. And for me, I really liked, because I didn't know when I first started watching the first season with my wife, I didn't know that seasons 2 and 3 were different. I didn't know it was an anthology. But then when I saw the trailers for season 4, I'm like, oh, that's it connects. I was excited for that because I thought
sure
the first season was pretty good. There's a lot of scenes you got to skip if you're a good Christian boy like me. But the story was really awesome. The character
that's what everyone praises.
Phenomenal. That's where the show really sings. But there's like this underlying plot that's happening in the background that wasn't as well explored as I would have liked it to be. And so I was kind of excited for season 4 to kind of follow up on that and maybe dive more into that. But anyways.
Yeah, so all he did was retweet what other people were saying about season 4. That's it. That's what he did. Yeah. That's a sin now. That is Hitlerian evil. So screw you.
That's pretty ridiculous. They can't criticize anything in these days.
I didn't need to pull this up because I made a video on it. But yeah, that's what Daniel Green finally had to say about iWatt.
Yep.
Because AI, not because they ruined the books that he loves.
Yep.
And that's all the news. The rest is all funny. Babylon Bee was on fire this week, and I got to show you some memes. Okay.
I think we've seen this one before.
Have you? Okay, I might have pulled that up.
It's a good one, but yeah.
It's new.
I think there was a similar one. I don't think I've seen this before, but
family that can't afford groceries, comforted by the fact that we have the most diverse administration in history. Google Gemini finally draws a white man after being prompted to generate Clarence Thomas. Did you guys see the Gemini stuff this week?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Google Gemini, they refused to it's AI images, and they won't draw white people.
Yeah.
You can say, "Hey, can you draw me a happy white family?" I'm sorry, that's racist. Yeah. Hey, can you draw me a happy black family? Okay. And people said, "Give us pictures of the founding fathers," and it was like Native Americans and black people. Oh, give us pictures of ancient Romans, and it's black people, right? Give us pictures of the Vikings, it's black people.
Yeah, very odd decision.
So yeah, very funny, very funny. This one's real good because the Apple Pro Vision came out. It helps you.
Warning, Wi-Fi.
That's good.
And here's another one bashing women because I'm sexist. But a wife is frustrated that husband doesn't realize she wants him to be quiet, but also talk to her, and also leave her alone, and also come talk to her. Okay, there was 2 more funny things. But I got to switch windows because you need sound because it's hilarious. Wow, is this going to be a short show? We're coming up on 2 hours and we're like done with material. Does anyone still watch it? Did anyone watch Delicious in Dungeon or what?
I'm still watching. I think we watched episode 3, the one with the living armor. I thought that was brilliant.
That's a great episode. I haven't seen this week's episode because Avatar came out and I've been watching it with Elliot. So
one thing that I'll also toss out there that I've been meaning to bring up, but I haven't been able to make it work.
Lightbringer,
wise and everything was. I saw a couple of movies a little while back. One called Origin. There was an interesting movie about how basically a lot of racism is really just classism, and it has so much less to do about race than anything, which was an interesting thing. It had some other good points. And then I also saw American Fiction, and I thought that was actually a very funny
American Fiction
movie. Yeah.
I saw people I've only seen the trailer, and people were saying like, "Oh, this is woke," but I was like, it's kind of making fun of woke people. It's literally making fun of liberals who only treat black people as stereotypes.
Yeah.
It kind of looked funny. You liked it?
I liked it. The ending, it got a little bit. It
got a little preachy.
It took away from that. It just didn't. It didn't get overly preachy necessarily. The actual ending, so again, you get some hints of that idea of like poking fun at the liberals for being, only caring about the demographics. They do have a couple of scenes that kind of resolve it to making both people happy a little bit, but not over your, slapping you with the face too much. It's just one little scene there. But then the actual ending of it is more trying to talk about the meta commentary of the story that he's doing. And it was still funny, but I think if you go into it wanting it to be a political commentary,
right.
It is with that, but it doesn't end with that's the point of this movie.
Right.
The point of the movie is the meta commentary of stuff and the way of telling stories and all that. So it ends up also making it more enjoyable because it stops trying to be preaching at you the whole time. It doesn't point to the movie.
I'll probably watch it. It looked interesting.
Yeah. I thought it was fun. I thought it was good. I liked it.
Cool. And we can talk about Lightbringer after this if you want. But you guys have to see this. I hope we don't get a copyright strike because we're about to watch all of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But this is the Lord of the Rings, but with female interactions only. Here we go. You guys ready for this?
Where's Mama?
Hey, it passed the Bechdel test.
It did. They were talking about a woman. Come on. Brilliant. Absolute brilliant post. I got to share this one with you too, because this one made me split seams laughing. And people are these are the. I get that you want to be scared by artificial intelligence, okay? And there are things to be scared about, but it can also give you this, which is so funny.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight, Middle Earth edition.
Oops.
Now, as any honest and decent person knows, Sauron is not a figure to be taken unconcernedly. This wasn't up for debate even a few years ago, but all of a sudden, you've got militarized Nazgul patrolling the Shire and threatening the ability of its citizens to travel freely.
I mean, come on. It's good, right?
Is this a thing? Because I saw another post that was a fake news article by Tucker Carlson.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what it was. It was this week.
Who posted this? It's I don't know if he made it. Oh yeah, it looks like this is his original content. His OC.
Yeah, there was another narration by Tucker Carlson, and I want to say it was a Star Wars thing or something. I don't remember.
It might be this guy because it seems like it's not his first one, but man, it's so funny though.
So why are some of Middle Earth's residents, namely Saruman the White, signing off on it? What's really going on here?
But it's even got the inflections right.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. You can tell it's AI, but it's so close. It's so good. That's scary.
It's come a long way. That's for sure.
How much it sounds like him.
Yeah.
I'm not going to show the full video, but brilliant work. You made me laugh real hard, Dr. Maverick Alexander. So good day to you, and that's all the news.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but there was another post that came up, and it was the same sort of thing,
mm-hmm.
and it was hilarious. I don't remember what it was. I'll have to look that up.
He's got one about Alex Jones doing Lord of the Rings.
Oh gosh.
I don't know if there's more. Tucker Carlson one's so good though. I need to watch the Alex Jones one. There's just a lot of people.
Oh, hey, Alan, your favorite thing is back. Star Wars. We got Bad Batch going on.
Bad Batch, season 2. Oh, great! So
4
good.
Or something, 3 or 4 or something like that. I think.
What? Didn't they just start Bad Batch?
No, it was a while ago. I watched the first season of Bad Batch, and it just
I don't care.
Like it was.
That's exactly why I brought it up, because I know you don't care.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed with Bad Batch season 1. I thought there were some interesting themes that they were exploring, but it was just too much of a story that I'm not interested in to care about. I don't know.
I saw this one too. Yeah, it was making fun of the Putin interview, but it was it was this guy, not the guy from Skyrim, the one
Maybe
before
that's
that, Morrowind or whatever. It was pretty funny.
That's what it was.
I think that's the one you're talking
about.
Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah, it was Morrowind. That's what it was.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sick and tired, so I'm ready to call it. But if you want to talk about,
I was going to say I don't have too much to add beyond that. Yeah, it wrapped up beautifully. Oh, I also started his the Night Angel trilogy.
I haven't read it yet.
Okay.
I just got it though.
You have to tell us how that is.
I obtained it because I found out he's doing a sequel to it, so I'm like, okay, all right, I need to read it.
I think actually that just came out, or is it a sequel or a prequel, or there's something like that?
I don't know. He's doing more in it, so I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's good. I think it's. I mean, you can tell it's by the same author. It's very.
It's his earlier work. It's not quite as good.
Going on. It's almost as good, but not quite. I think the other thing that I've realized as I'm listening to this is it has a level of storytelling with the intrigue that I think the thing that threw me off with it is it's just I'm not so used to the level to which characters can learn the wrong kind of information and then double down on that and try to follow through with those ideas. Because in a lot of other fiction, you'll get a short amount of time where somebody gets the wrong information and says, "Oh, maybe that's not the truth," and then they find out the truth, or they maybe make a couple of like hints and plans at ideas that they want to do based on the wrong information, but it gets resolved before they get too far with it. Or again, it's the only time that they go down the path of doing the wrong thing because of bad information usually is, a villain turn, or like it's a really big problem, as opposed to here it's like sometimes it causes some problems, sometimes it just like they just have the wrong information for some time and you hear them thinking about it and like dwelling on it, but then they don't really.
That was
interesting.
That was one of my favorite things that he did in Lightbringer.
Yeah.
Was like, especially not Karis. What's the girl who eventually becomes a white?
Karis White Oak.
No.
You're talking about the daughter of the general dude.
Not the white. Sorry. That was confusing. A white, not the white.
The white.
Two different whites.
Liviana Danovich.
Liviana, yeah. In book 2 or whatever, like there's that when she's seeing the battle, right? And she jumps to the conclusion about the reason that Gavin and her dad,
with her dad,
and like you as the reader know that it's not true, but like her character just. The way that he wrote it was very good in that like she's just taking this as a fact and it was like a character building moment too, like it was like a revelation to her, like, oh, that's what's going on, and like I loved the way he wrote it. It was very like that's how you do misinformation and make it believable. Like you have the character just take it.
Much better. And the great thing about that is that literally, like, then you as the reader start to wonder. You're like, wait, like, do I have the right information? Like,
right.
Which you don't.
But at least with regards to most of that, you do.
It's very true. Not in regard to that aspect, but the author is absolutely lying to you the whole time.
Yeah. See, and I think that's what it is. It's where it makes me question myself in that so much. And I'm not saying it's bad. That's just what I'm saying is like that's what threw me and made it so hard for me to like be excited about it. Because I'm like, this is so different and it's frustrating. But it's the kind of frustrating that leads to, I think, good storytelling. That ended up making it good in the end, but it was frustrating to read through and be like, what? I think that actually the example of Liv doing that is one that is closer to what you might see in some other stories, because it's the thing that leads her down the path to be a villain, right?
Yeah.
you have a lot of situations. The only other examples that I can think of off the top of my head are all the situations when
that's an example of it can so easily be bad writing, but it's not. It's taking the bad writing trope and making it work, like explaining like why that would ever happen, because that is an instance. If she sat down in the room with those same people and had a chat, she would still come to the same conclusion.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Like it doesn't matter what they say, that's what she's going to believe, because from her perspective, that makes sense.
Yeah, and again, it all just comes down to this idea of like it's such a it's a fully fleshed out world, and the characters are fully fleshed out in those ways, because it's the same sort of thing. We got a lot of teases on the early stuff with Tia as she's being told, oh, you need to go get close to I'm mixing up Kylar. No, Kip. You
Kip.
need to go get close to Kip, because we're going to do this. We're going to manipulate you this way, and then like, oh, this is how we're going to lock you in to make sure that it happens, and then like it's done away with. Like, but the characters are fleshed out with their full plan, not kind of given the surface treatment of it. So there's a lot of that happens there. I don't know.
You made sure to read the after credits scene, right? For Lightbringer.
Probably.
It's after the acknowledgments. There's a post credit scene.
I did listen
Tia.
all the way through that. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
I'm trying to remember exactly what happened in that, but
also, like, man, talk about like the only time I've actually read the acknowledgments was with Brent Weeks.
He does good acknowledgments,
but because he doesn't just write them as acknowledgments. Like he makes it interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest question, though, is what did you think of Kip coming back to life?
Yeah. I think he should have died.
I think he shouldn't have died in the first place. He should have been on the verge of death and then had the same thing happen. He's saved, whatever. But
I'm trying to remember exactly what happened.
That could have worked. Yeah, if he was like, sure.
There's not that clear cut who's the Lightbringer, because you've got like they each were the Lightbringer.
Bringing him back from the verge of death, it would have been better than having him die and resurrecting him. But I still think it would have been better if he died.
And then Gavin getting his powers back too was like, okay. It almost felt like a little too neat of a bow on there, especially for this world that he's done a lot of not putting neat bows on things. Again, that's the whole thing. He's not putting neat bows on things.
Yeah, that's why it's bringing him back.
He puts a lot of sad bows on things.
Yeah.
Well, but then not the end. The end was all happy. They all came back to life. They all had their powers. They were all, a happy family together. I thought that the whole story was like Gavin's decline from his height of power into losing everything that he's ever had, and then all of a sudden it's back in the end. So I thought Gavin should have done a noble sacrifice. Gavin should have died.
No,
he
that's
should have
dumb.
saved Kip before he died instead of
killing
him and then bringing him back to life.
Ugh, David, you have such bad takes.
It was it was where the whole series was going.
Which is why you need to subvert it a little bit.
Learning to be less selfish and put others first.
And he does that. By sacrificing himself at the end.
But then he doesn't sacrifice himself.
He did. It was the other people that brought him back. He didn't bring himself back.
Exactly. That's the part that makes me more than bringing Kip back from the dead is bringing Gavin back.
Gavin's made sense. Kip's didn't. Killing Kip, bringing Kip back from the dead was dumb. But Gavin's descent, because that's the thing, he goes through the descent. He goes through Dante's Inferno, and he comes out of it triumphant.
Right.
You have to reward. No. You're so wrong, David. You have to reward Gavin at the end of this series. It's not satisfying if you don't reward Gavin.
It's not that you can't reward him, because you can reward him by he's now married to Karis. He's got his love of his life. She's in power, but then he is not in the spotlight anymore. You don't have to give him his powers back. You can still have him there be consequences for having gone through this.
Exactly.
And then he still gets a happy ending, just not a you get everything back that you ever had and wanted.
Exactly.
Happy ending. So, yeah. Here's
the thing.
Is there happy with
Sorry,
Karis?
you guys don't like happy endings? Is that what I'm getting on this? You don't like satisfaction. You don't like to read a book and feel, ooh, that was nice. You just want to be depressed all the time. Go read Joe Abercrombie, you emos. Which you should really read First Law. It'll break you.
Yeah, it's on my list. I got a lot of other things to read first.
But here's the thing, though. Doesn't it just allude to the fact that he may have gotten his powers back, but
it doesn't say he gets them back.
He got his powers back.
It's like the ending of X-Men 3, like where he's like, it's like, oh, am I getting my powers back?
Yeah, like I think it's something where like he sees some green, and you're like, oh, does that mean he got his powers back? But that's what I love too about that Ed is that it doesn't actually explicitly say that, right? It doesn't explicitly say, oh, and he got his powers back. It just says,
yeah,
did this happen or doesn't? You know?
But they hinted at it so hard that like with regards to this discussion about are they giving him a happy ending where he's also going to get back to where he's at? It still comes down to like he's already got a happy ending. Why do you need to give him this extra?
You guys are so bitter. You guys are like, oh, you want happy ending? Go to Korean massage parlor. Don't go to books.
I suppose that's an interesting point. Speaking about it, you've got your joke from the Deadpool 3 trailer. Everyone deserves a happy ending. So,
is that in the trailer?
It's the text that they have on the screen during the Deadpool 3 trailer. But yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
I'm surprised you still haven't seen it.
I don't really care. I'm not excited for it.
You're not excited for it, really?
It's made by Disney. I don't care.
But
it's not going to be good. Again, everyone thinks it's going to be good. It's not. It won't be.
No, go watch it though, because they immediately tell you this is not going to be Disneyified. He makes a pegging joke in the first 30 seconds, which again,
but that's on par with Disney though. Okay.
No, not on par with what they do in what they actually put out.
They literally did that in the Marvels, dude.
No, they cut it out. They were going to do it. They were.
Right. It was a deleted scene. You're right.
Didn't cut it out, so yeah.
But still, the fact that they were going to do that says something.
Yeah. Christ taught that if you do pegging in your mind, you've already done it. If you commit pegging in your heart, it's like you've already done it.
This is such a weird like level up, because it's not like I'm trying to advocate for they should be all sorts of raunchy with it, but the fact that they're going raunchy with it is to me an indication of the fact that they're going that Disney is not stopping them from doing the sort of stuff that they just would want to do anyway, that they were doing in the first two anyway. So I think that it's going to be roughly on par with the other ones, but which again, I like them, but they are a little raunchier than I would need them to be. But anyway.
Read Lightbringer, so good.
Yep, Lightbringer.
We've all done it.
Great series. Really, really good stuff. It's again another great. Like I will say this too. The things with Lightbringer. Obviously, I don't want Hollywood to get a hold of it because they're going to mess it up. That being said,
can you imagine Hollywood touching Lightbringer? Oh man, that's not going to be fun.
The things that they at least say they want to do with it, this is the right kind of story that checks all the right boxes with it without it being a checking the boxes. Like people of color are in an advantage in this world in a lot of ways. There's a lot of strong characters.
People of color, or was that because they do color magic?
There is a lot of diversity that's going on with it, like between the different groups. Like there's a lot of cool things.
That actually was a super cool point. That like black people are better at magic because of the color of their skin. Like that is hilarious to me.
Better at this than men. Period. And very often he specifically uses the female pronouncing with regards to like, oh, when a bender does this, she does this, which is unusual to at least as me as a man. My usual, and what you usually see in fiction is when you have that referring to a person in general, not a specific person, you use the pronoun, but like they switched around and it would make sense in that world. All these things that like theoretically would make them all sorts of excited, except they're going to take it like you said they do with Wheel of Time and say, no, we want it to be this part is going to be the thing that's going to be all girl power and weird things like that. That is, Lightbringer is exactly what they say they want but if they were to take it, they would mess it up by doing all the other things instead. I don't know.
Yep.
But Lightbringer's a good series. Very, very good series.
It would also make a really visually stunning adaptation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Same thing with
Warbreaker
from Brandon Sanderson. Oh,
I was talking to a guy the other day about
so excited
Yeah.
for the Society of Magical Black People. If they messed with anything, sorry,
Brandon Sanderson. So if they changed anything of Brandon Sanderson's, there would be fiery but mostly peaceful protests. Yeah. But,
yeah.
Hopefully he'll.
That's the thing. Is we've also talked about. We know Brandon's going to be smart enough to hold on to enough creative control to make sure it's not going to be.
He's had enough experience with that. Just with Wheel of Time alone.
Wheel of Time. But you also look at his connection to Orson, like he knows Orson Scott
Card. Yep.
That he has specifically talked about all the problems with it, and we already know he's got enough of leverage to say, no, I'm not going to give you full creative control because guess what? I don't care if you give me money or not. I could do a Kickstarter and make it all happen myself.
Yep.
Yeah. But speaking of, again, getting into this, I'm only just a little ways in there, but it's been pretty fun and pretty cool so far. I've really appreciated seeing Hoyd popping up and some of the funny lines of, parents have to say those nice things because otherwise, how could they live with those sociopaths?
What do you mean Hoyd popping up? He's narrating the story.
And that's what I'm saying is Hoyd popping up and saying like, oh, yep, that's me. And
okay.
Like,
interjecting in the story.
Yeah, interjecting exactly. Yeah. When he pops up in the story, he's like, yes, that's me. No, I don't want to talk about it because he says some nonsense line, and he's like, yeah, that's me. But no, I don't want to. It's just it's so fun.
Yeah, his connections in all of these, at least the Cosmere secret novels, is pretty fun. I do like, especially later on in Tress, there's some other connections to other Cosmere things, and he'll pop out and say, by the way, careful readers would have noticed this, and it's like a perfect little thing. There's like, if you know more about the Cosmere, you're like, oh, that makes sense. That's kind of cool. And if you don't, you just skim right over it, and it's just Woody.
I still always go back to. Again, I'm not like mad about spoilers, and so when I flip through, being able to get to this page.
Oh yeah.
That's a massive spoiler.
That's a very massive spoiler. Why would you do that?
Yeah, but I know what the picture is. It got your camera blurred it out, but I knew exactly what it was.
Yeah. See, but so I'm quite excited about that. I'm excited to see where it goes and finally continue on the journey because I realize if I want to make it to Way of Kings, the Stormlight Archive by December when Way of Kings or Stormlight Archive number 5 comes out, I got to get moving on this.
Yep, same here. I'm reading through or listening to The Wise Man's Fear, and I keep having to stop because I'm reading. My wife is reading the book physically, and I'm listening to it, and I keep having to stop and wait for her to catch up. We can talk about
Wise Man's Fear is so good.
But I need to finish Wise Man's Fear, and then I'm into Stormlight. I'm gonna binge
there's 2 bookmarks here because this is where I'm reading out loud to my wife, and this is where I'm reading on my own.
Nice. There you go.
They just announced like Dragonsteel tickets for 2024 are like going on sale like next week, right?
Yeah, once I get myself a job, I will probably be trying to.
Isn't it in December?
There, but I got to get myself a job. Yeah.
It's in December, right?
Yeah, but they're going to start selling badges.
November, early December. It's right in there. He did make sure it's on the weekend, but I think it's.
Well, shoot. Got to get in on that.
So good stuff.
Yep, cool. I'll be there if you want to see me. Come to Dragonsteel.
This will be a fun year. It'll be my first.
It's gonna be a crazy year. It's gonna be
Dragonsteel. I'm going this week. Actually, I'm going to my first board game convention, SaltCon, up in Layton, Utah. I'll be going for 1 day of that. So
it might not have been badges. They opened it up to apply for booths and
okay, that makes more sense.
And to work to work as a volunteer and to be a panelist, you can apply there. Which kind of sounds fun, but like
rates for the hotels that they were trying to make sure they got set up, but the tickets themselves I don't think are on sale.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, tickets aren't on sale yet.
That makes a lot more sense. I'm like, that's way early to start selling badges.
Yeah. But the other thing I'll say too, Mark usually pesters me about my own channel, and I changed a couple of things in the description, and I subscribed to my own channel. So Jared Bennett is now subscribed to Nirvana Entertainment. But that's the only progress I made with that. So.
Well, you need to post a video so we can put your channel in the description there.
Right.
They did just update the website though. Registration opens in May.
Okay.
May 7th.
Okay. That a couple months out still. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Gives me a little bit of time to finally figure out money.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. Last year was super fun, but this year's gonna be even better.
Even better.
And hopefully, I'll have something to peddle there, which I was supposed to have this year. Almost there. Mark Clark always, and he's not here, but I'm sure you're gonna watch the replays. News about my music is we have been chugging along. Like most of the tracks are done. We're just working on the hard ones now, so they're taking longer. And the one song that's difficult in particular is my Frankie Valli tribute song.
That one's a good one.
And the reason it's literal, like we're doing like a 4-part harmony on it, which was hard to compose, but it's all recorded now. Like I recorded my part, our cousin, not yours, David and mine's cousin.
Okay.
Recorded some vocals on it too, and my friend's going to be recording some vocals. I did 2 parts actually because I have a high and low voice. But the last update he sent me was, I promise I'm still working on it. Right now we're at 62 tracks of vocal processing, like separate tracks, and I haven't added my vocals yet. Like it's getting so big my computer can't handle it. So like it's gonna be a good song. That's my favorite one on the album, if I'm being honest.
You got a lot of good ones.
It's it's called Nocturnal.
Yeah.
It's really good.
That was good lyrical.
But I wanna do, hopefully we'll be done in March. Or by the end of March. And I want to do a stream where we just do like a talk back. Like I want to get Aaron on and just listen to a song and talk about it. I think that'd be fun to do.
That'd be sweet.
Might not be on a Sunday. Who knows? The schedule's kind of crazy. So Dune Part 2. That makes me
looking forward to that.
Like I'm sick as a dog. I'm dying, and I couldn't be happier because Dune comes out this week, boys. We need to get our tickets, by the way.
Yeah.
We're all going together, right? Yeah.
Well, the thing is, my wife's going to want to see it, so.
My vote to see it. Too bad, Martina. Too bad.
So what you need to do is you need to find somebody that'll watch them for you. I don't know, get watch kids for you.
Look, David already took one for the team. I tried to get my boys to go see Madam Web with me on Valentine's Day, and they couldn't because they had wives. So, you kind of owe us one for Dune Part 2. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, and that's the other thing that is at least on the schedule is Shogun episodes 1 and 2.
I've heard really good things about Shogun. It's looking really, really good.
I know next to nothing except for one guy that I listened to a lot of times. He's just dying excited because he loved the original. So
it
looks good.
Samurai crap, and it's going to be a weekly release.
Yeah. Yep.
So we can we'll have a show we can talk about and be part of the zeitgeist with.
Yeah.
I don't know why you do binge stuff.
It does get real hard to
shoot. It just shoots your audience in the foot.
Well, the
Stop
one
taking
thing
my
you can
husband
say
on
is
dates. Hey, if you gave your husband more attention, then he wouldn't need me. Talk about sibling love, am I right?
Oh boy. I think it's about time to end if that's where we're going now.
Love is brightest in the dark of a movie theater.
See, I told you that's why he's thinking about it. You got to be careful there, Martina.
Yep.
Keep an eye on him.
Oh, I'm exhausted. I need some sleep.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to finish this bookshelf behind me.
Mm-hmm. I do need to know what to read next, though. I have a whole bunch on my TBR, and I'm having trouble deciding.
You oh no, wait. You did finally do.
Are you rewriting
right?
Stormlight?
No. No. I'm not gonna do that. I'll reread I'll reread 1 through 5 when he starts 6.
Okay.
Because that's a good time to refresh. Like, you haven't read them yet, so it makes sense. Yeah, because I'm slowly rereading the Wheel of Time, because I'm doing that with Nerdporial every week. Sometime, I'm pretty sure Wednesday, we're gonna finally talk about with Prophet of the Dragon and the White Cloaks. We're gonna talk about Elric of Melniboné. I think Nerdporial is gonna jump on that too, because he just read some of that. That's fun. Yeah. Oh, I'm currently reading Pyramids by Terry Pratchett, but I need to know what series to start next. I've the ones that are on my I need to read Foundation and Empire. I need to read the other Foundation books. I'll eventually. I need to finish the Jade series. Probably not anytime soon. And I've got the Powder Mage. That's pretty high up on my list. Malazan, Book of the Fallen is up there, but there are some other people who might want to read that with me, so I can't start it yet.
Yeah. Well, if you want some quick palate cleansers, you can do the myth books.
Well, that's what Terry Pratchett is for me right now.
That was the other thing, and I forgot to mention, or I got distracted from saying this earlier. As I'm reading through Trask, one of the things that I will say is it reminds me a lot of what the tone that I get out of Alcatraz versus the Evil Librarians. Obviously, those ones are a little bit younger skewed.
Yeah, I haven't read those yet.
You enjoy that self-aware narrator telling a story that they're in, that he leans into that there as well. So some of that tone really comes out in Alcatraz as well. So those are fun. They're definitely kiddie, but they're fun.
So
I know you were talking about reading through them with your kid, David, but
yeah. Out of I need a series. I have a whole bunch that are on my list. So you tell me which one I should read. I've got Dragon Riders of Pern. I've got the Powder Mage. I've got Inheritance Cycle. The Hyperion
Have you
books.
read those before?
No.
Really?
I have not read Christopher Paolini. I've got the Hyperion series, which is a good sci-fi. I'm not going to start the Song of Ice and Fire unless he does another book. Dresden Files.
And there's a lot of those, and they're fun. I actually really enjoyed them. I only read through till about the spot where he took a break, but so there's still definitely more to catch
the
up
the Murderbot books I need to read. Oh, you know what I should do? I should go back to Joe Abercrombie because he's getting an adaptation. I've only read the first trilogy. He has like 4 standalone books and then a sequel trilogy. I should probably go back to Joe Abercrombie. He's getting Best Served Cold, a movie.
Huh.
I should do that. And then I should read The 3-Body Problem, because that's getting a movie. But I've also got Red Rising. I need to read those ones. I need to read Robin Hobb. I need to read The Realm of the Underlings. Not the whole thing yet. Maybe just the first trilogy.
Wait, so you haven't read any Robin Hobb?
No.
Ooh, yeah.
Dude,
all of those are really good.
I'm playing catch up. I need to read Sam Sykes' Grave of the Empires. I need to read The Gentleman Bastard sequence. I need to read Dark Tower, and I need to read the Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, and I need to read Malazan. I need to read Otherland by Tad Williams, and I need to read Earthsea, Ursula K. Le Guin, and
it's quite the list.
Yeah. No, I've got a big John Gwynne, the Shadow of the Gods. That's the one I need to read.
Okay.
And the Shadow of What Was Lost. That's I can't remember who does that one. Albelio, thanks for tuning in right when we're about to end. You're on episode 7, and you're about to rip your hair out. Well, we only made it the first 4, so we'll talk about that next week. Oh, it's gonna, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So much for you guys making the decision for me. Oh, and The Witcher. But yeah. So I need to go back to First Law. I need to do Joe Abercrombie and Three Body Problem. That's what I'm doing next. I've made my decision. And my decision is final. And I'll definitely be needing a bunch of Terry Pratchett in between the Joe Abercrombie books.
I was going to say, yeah.
Oh, man. So,
all right.
You guys got anything else?
Nope.
No, that's about it.
All right. Well, make sure you check out The Underground. They're awesome. They're cool. And they'll probably be back next week talking about Dune and stuff. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. I know I don't look. I'm physically dying. But, man. So excited for Dune. It's my baby. I do need to finish the Dune books, too. I need to read 5 and 6.
That's one that I want to try to get into once we finish the movie. Yeah. Is I'll probably re-listen to the first one, and because I haven't heard the I haven't listened to read Prophet or Messiah.
Absolutely read to 4. They were so good. But I'll do 5 and 6
Dune,
eventually.
Dune, Messiah, then Children of
Dune.
And then what's 5 and 6?
What? No. So it's Dune, Messiah, Children of Dune, God Emperor of Dune is book 4. Oh, okay. So you got those mixed up.
Okay, God Emperor.
And then there's Chapter House is 6. What's what is it? It's Dune Legacy. No, it's Heretics of Dune. Heretics of Dune, and then Chapter House Dune.
Holy cow! I'm looking. Oh, the novels. Oh, wait. Dune.
Yeah, I should probably be Dune after
Dune. Heretics of Dune.
From my archive.
Yeah, if you're looking up on like a Wikipedia, you're going to get all of his kids' books too, though.
Yeah, I was also seeing. Yeah, there's some other ones there, like but in some of the short stories.
Yeah,
wasn't there one that's Dune Prophet or something like that? I thought I saw something. Dune
There's
Prophet.
A whole bunch of prequels. So most of his son wrote a whole bunch of prequels. And he did that first, and then he went and wrote Hunters of Dune and Sandworms of Dune to finish off his dad's series. And everyone pretty much hates him.
Yeah.
But some of his prequels people like the Atreides prequel and stuff like that. And people, and hate's a strong word too. Like you can clearly tell it's a different author, and it's not like Frank Herbert is insane. Okay. And makes weird narrative choices that are awesome, and his son plays it really safe. The problem, I think the reason why people didn't like Hunters and Sandworms is rather than just finishing his dad's story, because he wrote those after he wrote all these prequels, he included a bunch of his made-up characters from the prequels and parallel series. Like he wrote books in between his dad's books. He included those characters in the finale of Hunters and Sandworms, and a lot of people didn't like that.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, okay, I have to read 30 prequel books before I can finish your dad's work.
Yeah.
That's a little silly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. My go-to is always read them in release order, because if nothing else, that's kind of how they.
Yeah, and if you did that, did that for the Dune books, you'd have to read 50 books before you could finish the series. You know.
Oh, really? Okay, sorry.
I was like, they're not like.
I didn't remember that. They actually did come out before his dad finished.
Yeah, so he wrote all the. So his dad died after 6, then he wrote a bunch of prequels and books in between his dad books and parallels books happening at the same time as his dad's books, and then he wrote the 2 to finish off the series. And like I wouldn't, like I haven't read them yet, so I don't know. I will commit to reading like 7 and 8, but I'm not going to read his prequels. From what most people say, like, it's not that they're bad books, it's just that you can tell that they're different. It's not the same.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Duncan.
Well, when we almost thought this was going to be a 2-hour stream, we've almost brought it up to a 3-hour stream.
Well, because you started talking about books, so that's your fault.
Yeah.
Anyway, I need to go to bed again.
Every time Lightbringer is brought up, we go on a half an hour, 45-minute tangent.
I'm so sorry. Forgive me. I'll never do it again.
Lightbringer. I loved it, though.
My mistake.
Brent Weeks is
All right.
Genius. Okay, see you guys next week. Well, I'll see you guys sooner than that. But all you audience members, see you next week. And it's going to be a blast from the past and the present and the future. Because we'll be on Spice. So we'll be seeing into the past and the future, and that will be our present. And I guarantee you, 'twill be a blast.
I was going to say it'll be a trip.
Yeah, a missed opportunity there. It'll be a trip.
I'm done.
And now it is time to say goodbye.
We had a great conversation.
It's been fun. But all good things must come to an end, and the goodest ending I can think of is...
Right now, this moment, this night.
So I guess we just say goodbye.
So, goodbye.
Toodaloo. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen. Ciao. Ding dao day. But come back next week for more outrageous bloopers.
This is the end.
Well, there's only one thing left to do.
I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife.
Subscribe to the channel and you can join us along for the ride. And if you pay me, I'll try to be more entertaining. So please consider joining Patreon.